Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto saved Fairytail from Zeref. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Spiderbat3 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. 6 years after Kyuubi's attack. In the Land of Fire, there is a large village hidden among the leaves. Similarly, there are 4 more hidden villages in the elemental nations, but the Leaf Village is known to be the strongest because of the many strong clans inside their walls, and because of the many prodigies the village gives birth to, such as Itachi Uchiha, Kakashi Hatake, Orochimaru of the Sannin and Minato Namikaze. The first thing a person would notice once they gaze among the village is the calm and peaceful environment, even though they were attacked by the Nine-Tailed Fox 6 years ago. Happy civilians walk up and down the streets of the village while a few chat with their families and friends. Ninja can be seen hopping off the rooftops of the buildings, either to go off on their mission or to do their daily patrols around the village. The village seems to be the main concept of the word peaceful. However, past all of those happy smiles lays a darkness which an innocent child is currently suffering from. The sad and frightened child can be seen running through a dark and cold alleyway. He has spiky blonde hair which looks like it was kissed by the sun itself because of how bright it is, but it's hidden behind a trail of grime and dirt. His eyes are a beautiful shade of blue which would make the cleanest of seas jealous of its color, but his eyes are filled with desperation as he makes his way through the alley, accidentally bumping into a trash can which cuts through the bottom left of his dirty white t-shirt. On both sides of his face are 3 strange birth marks which oddly resemble whisker marks. Other than the dirty white tails, he wears a pair of black shorts which are covered with cuts and a bit of dried blood in the corner of them. This scared and lonely child is none other than the 6-year-old Naruto Uzumaki, the village's pariah. Kill the demon, avenge our families, finish what the Yondaime started. These are the screams of an angry mob of civilians and ninja which mostly vary with Chunin and 4 Jonin who are all chasing the 6-year-old with the idea of ending his life. Ducking just in time to dodge another thrown kunai, Naruto makes a left at the end of the alley and slides underneath a small gap in the fence which is big enough for his little malnourished body to fit through. After making through the fence, he runs straight towards the forest while not caring for what is inside of it. People in the mob curse out for the blonde, but he ignores their insults and continues his trek through the dark forest. Running and ducking another branch, Naruto inwardly thanks whatever deity blessed him with his large stamina. While running past the large trees, Naruto doesn't notice that the mob behind him is slowly starting to catch up with him. Why do they hurt me? I haven't done anything wrong yet they call me a demon. Why? He shouted mentally while holding back his tears which are threatening to pour out of his eyes. He looks over his shoulder and widens his eyes in fright as he sees the shinobi and kunoichi in the mob are gaining on him. One of the Chunin is close enough to reach his hand out to try and grab him, so running with even more adrenaline. Naruto's speed increases which allows him to barely dodge the thrown out hand, and he just misses a branch because of his small height. The Chunin is too distracted on trying to catch Naruto that he doesn't notice the branch until he hit his head off of it. The mob sees the Chunin fall to the floor while holding his forehead in pain and thinking that the demon had just attacked him. Their anger increases tenfold. The demon is fighting back. Kill it before it kills us all, roared the leader while waving around his torch. Fighting back? But I didn't even touch him, thought Naruto in confusion. He doesn't notice the person in front of him, and his heart skipped a beat as he falls on top of them, thinking that it's someone a part of the mob. 5 minutes earlier, a man is walking through the deep forest of the Land of Fire while hoping to find some place to spend the rest of his immortal life. He looks like he is in his young 20s. In actual fact, he is over 400 years old. He's wearing a high-collared, black and tan robe with gold trims, along with a large flowing white toga draped around his torso. He has short black hair, black eyes and abnormally sharp canine teeth. Around his neck is a circular-shaped silver necklace. He walks through the forest with a sad expression on his face. He is a man who is known by several different infamous titles. Examples are Wizard Killer, Demon Creator, and Black Mage. However, he prefers to go by his birth name, Zeref. The reason he is in the deep forest of Fire Country is because he has grown sick and tired of killing everything in sight by accident. Whenever his curse, which was given to him by the god Ankarsam, who gave him the curse of contradiction after he made the R system and Eclipse Gate. The curse forces him to kill everything around him whenever he feels like human life is important, which sadly is most of the time. Last month, he had tried to make a demon, which in his case isn't as hard as it sounds because of his mastery over living magic. The demon he was trying to make was supposed to be his ultimate creation, a demon so powerful it would be strong enough to kill him and finally give him some peace from his miserable life. Sadly, the creation ended up as an abomination, so he sealed it away in its book form and left it in his library of demons. Now, he scours the world to find the one place with no sense of life. Why can't I find a place to live alone? Thought Zeref, sadly while looking around the forest and sees the various wildlife creatures looking at him curiously. He quickened his pace so he won't accidentally harm them. While he is speed walking, he doesn't notice the incoming child heading his way until it's too late. The child collides with his stomach, which causes them both to fall on the floor with dizzy heads. Shaking his head, Zeref looks down to see a dizzy Naruto, laying on his chest. A sea child, stuttered the strongest wizard in shock before standing up and pushing away Naruto, in fear of killing him for being so close to him. Stay away, stuttered Zeref while taking a few steps back. Naruto gets his bearings together and looks up at Zeref from the floor. Seeing the man with his hands up, Naruto believes he is one of the men who are threatening his life, so he does the same thing he does when getting beaten. Please don't hurt me, pleaded Naruto with his arms raised to protect himself and eyes closed, ready to get hit. I am so sorry for what I did, so please don't hit me. Zeref's eyes widens from hearing the fear in the child's voice. Upon getting a good look at the child, he notices the child's malnourished body, which is barely hidden by the rags on his body. All he can see on the child is skin and bones, which is also covered with dirt and grime. What does a child have to do to be in such a condition, wondered Zeref, as he looks down at the frightened and malnourished child. A voice interrupts their thoughts. The demon is over here, shouted the fat civilian leader, as he waves over the rest of the mob over. And somebody has him. Naruto looks back at the civilian with eyes filled with fear at the idea of another beating. Under a minute, the entire mob appear in front of Zeref and Naruto with their weapons raised. Naruto stands up and makes a run for it, but a hand grabs his shoulder before he can get too far. His heart skips a beat, and he looks back to see the stranger he ran in is the one holding his shoulder. He shuts his eyes tightly and expects to feel pain, but instead, he feels warmth. Opening his eyes, Naruto looks up to see the strangely dressed man holding him close while glaring at the crowd of civilians and ninja. From his position beside the stranger, Naruto doesn't notice that Zeref's eyes had turned red and they've gained a ring around his pupils, which are all giving him a very menacing look. Now tell me, what has this child done to all of you to earn your wrath? He asked with his eyes slightly narrowing. He doesn't know why they are ganging up on a child, but there is no excuse in the planet which is good enough for them to explain their actions. Have you been living under a rock? Asked the civilian leader before pointing at the terrified 6-year-old. That little pest is the reason that most of our family is dead. Because of that demon, I can no longer wake up every day and see my wife who he killed 6 years ago, so he must pay for that, explained the civilian as he glares at Naruto, who shivers from the glare, but Zeref tightens his hold on Naruto to help comfort the child. Demon? All I see is a poor child who is being changed by grown adults, stated Zeref, as his cold red eyes glare at everyone in front of him, making a lot of people gulp and take a few steps back in fear. He's just tricking you. A demon fox is known for their trickery anyway, so just give us the brat, or we'll take him by force, threatened Chunin as she takes out a kunai. Zeref looks at her for a few seconds in wonder before his eyes land on Naruto. I do sense something demonic inside of him, thought Zeref. His eyes widen when he recognizes which demon is inside him. Is that Kuruma? How did he get himself into an infant? Thought Zeref, wondering how one of his more powerful demons got into a child of all things. Sensing something else, Zeref eyes the seal on Naruto's stomach. It merely took him a few seconds to understand the effect of the powerful seal on Naruto's stomach, and he can honestly say, he is impressed with the work. Impressive. Whoever made this seal intended it so the host will be able to use the demon's power while at the same time locking it away. Although I'm not familiar with this type of seal, thought Zeref, who only remembers seals being made from magic and not ink. Ignoring the mob for now, Zeref bends down to the same height as the child and gives him a smile to ease his tension. Hello, young man, he greeted. Hello, muttered Naruto as his eyes go from the mob to Zeref and back to the mob. May I ask for your name? And Naruto Uzumaki, stuttered Naruto, who isn't sure what to do at this point. The only few people who have ever been nice to him before has been the Hokage, a woman with purple hair, and the nice people in Ichiraku, so he isn't used to much kindness. That is a lovely name, Naruto Uzumaki. I'm Zeref, and I'm sorry about this, but this might sting a little. Before Naruto can ask what he means by that, Zeref places his right forefinger and middle finger to Naruto's forehead. Naruto closes his eyes from the sharp sting in his head, but when he opens them, he sees that he isn't in the dark forest anymore but is now in a massive sewer with ankle-deep water with blue and red pipes on the walls. Where am I? Asked Naruto as he looks around the giant sewer. Your mindscape, answered Zeref as he looks around the child's mindscape. What does a child have to go through to have such a damaged mindscape, thought Zeref as he notices the many deep cracks in the walls. Sensing an immense power in one direction, he walks down the path while ignoring the ankle-length water. Naruto follows him so he won't be alone in the dark sewer. 5 minutes later, and they are both standing in front of a massive gold cage which has a large seal in the center of it. Naruto looks up at it in awe while secretly wondering why such a thing would be in his head. He jumps back in fright and hides behind Zeref as a large slitted eye opens up in the darkness at the other side of the cage. My jailer finally comes to visit after all these years. And what's this? He brought me lunch, chuckled the Kyuubi with a grin, showing Naruto his very sharp-looking teeth. Having been kicked out of class every time it involves the Kyuubi, Naruto has gained very little knowledge on the great demon but does know that what is in front of him is the Kyuubi which the 4th Hokage has supposedly killed. Seeing such a thing in his head brings up a lot of questions he really needs to have answered. Is this why they call me a demon? Wondered Naruto with tears escaping his eyes. Zeref sees the tears on Naruto's face, so he places a comforting hand on top of his head and rubs it a bit to ease his worries. Do not worry, little one. Everything will be alright, said Zeref in a soothing voice. Naruto doesn't know why, but he feels oddly safe beside the strange man who he doesn't know is the most powerful man in the world. Hello again, Kuruma greeted Zeref with a serious expression. The now revealed Kuruma narrows his eyes dangerously at the man who just said his name. No human should know his real name, and if they do, only the ones he deems worthy enough will be able to say it. Before he can roar, Kuruma notes the man's strange clothes which he feels like he should remember. Taking a closer look at him, Kurama's eyes widen in fear upon recognizing the man in front of him. Lord Zeref stuttered the mighty demon fox as he bows his head in respect to his creator. I apologize for my lack of respect, Lord Zeref. I hadn't known you would be with my container. Zeref waves off the nine-tails fox and notices the curious and cautious look Naruto is giving him. How come the QB is calling you Lord Zeref? Asked Naruto, who's truly surprised by the fact the large demon which had laid waste to the village 6 years ago. Zeref smiles at Naruto and explains to him about the fact that he was the one who has created the nine-tails fox along with his siblings who all roam the elemental nation on their own or trapped in a Jinchuriki. He had created them hundreds of years ago and let them off on their own to their own devices. Turns out the Sage of Six Paths thought of them as a danger to the world, so he had sealed them all inside of himself to keep them away from hurting humans, and became the very first Jinchuriki. He also explains how Naruto is said Jinchuriki, an embodiment of a human sacrifice and a living weapon to be used. This did not go well with Naruto, who doesn't enjoy the fact of being used like that. The next thing Zeref tells him is magic and that it can be used for an infinite amount of things. What Zeref told Naruto about magic made chakra sound like garbage when compared to it. After making sure Naruto is up to date with everything, Zeref's cold red eyes look up into Kurama's own, who shivers from the gaze of the black mage. I'm sure I don't need to explain to you what might happen if you are to hurt Naruto in any way. Do I, Kurama? Asked Zeref, his eyes narrowing, almost begging Kurama to defy him. Kurama nods his head to his creator, all ideas of taking over Naruto's body now gone. Oh, of course, master. I wouldn't even dream of harming him, good, replied Zeref with a nod. With a flick of the wrist, the seal holding back Kurama evaporates into nothingness, and the cage opens up to show a free QB. Naruto's eyes widen at the sight of the now free demon, but Zeref pats his head comfortably. Do not fret. He won't harm you, said Zeref, while pushing Naruto ahead of himself. Go ahead. Say hi. Naruto just stand there for a few minutes looking at the nine-tails fox, shyly as the fox looks down at him, while trying his best to suppress his anger. While Naruto and Kurama got to know each other, Zeref sets his eyes on the pair of small doors at the side of the wall, and walks over to them. The left room has the word good on it, and is colored green, while the right door has the word bad along with it being colored red. What are these? Asked Zeref, looking back, and then chuckles in amusement at the sight of Naruto cuddling with Kurama's furry paw. Kurama looks down at the child who is currently cuddling with him, and can't help but feel a lot of his pride go out the window. He is the great nine-tailed demon fox. A swing from one of his tails can destroy mountains and cause tsunamis of epic proportions. Now, he's a cuddle toy. Those are the kid's memories, answered Kurama while trying to shake off the child. Nodding his head, Zeref opens and walks through the good door, and he finds himself in a room with white walls, floor, and ceiling. Floating in the air are small blue orbs which Zeref guesses are the child's happy memories. Walking towards one of the orbs and touching it, the orb pops like a bubble, and the next thing Zeref knew, he is standing in a ramen booth stand. He sees a 4-year-old Naruto who is sitting on a stool at the counter and eating a bowl of ramen. Behind the counter is a roundish man with a few wrinkles on his face and a 13-year-old girl. Thank you for letting me eat here, sir, shyly thanked Naruto after finishing his bowl of ramen. The last 2 restaurants he tried to eat at had kicked him out for some reason he doesn't know, but thankfully, this stranger offered to cook him some ramen to eat. Cooked! Shouted the waitress. I am, who hops over the counter to hug Naruto and rub the side of his face with her own. Naruto blushed in embarrassment and confusion since he isn't used to having been hugged before. The only times he had were when a woman came to adopt him from the orphanage, but just used the chance to stab him in his back. Naruto slowly pushes away the girl in fear of the same thing happening. Don't worry about it, kid. By the way, don't call my sir. Makes me sound old. Just call me Tucci, said Tucci with a grin. And you can call me big sis I am. Squealed I am while hopping up and down in her spot. Zeref smiles a little after seeing the happy memory. Looking around, Zeref suspiciously looks at the orbs around him. The reason for his suspicion is because a large majority of Naruto's happy memories involve an elderly man who is wearing the robes of the village's leader. He can understand if he is Naruto's grandfather, but it's obvious he isn't if the fact that he isn't doing anything to protect the child from a mob of his own followers. Did he not give Naruto any guards or caretakers? Naruto's attire says it all. Seeing enough, he walks out of the room and eyes the bad door curiously. Why is the bad door chained up? Zeref asked Kurama, who has given up trying to pry the now sleeping Naruto off of him. Those are the kid's most traumatizing memories. Those stupid humans really did a number on the kid, told Kurama with a low growl. Zeref looks at the door and with a wave of his hand, the chains dissolve away like as if they were dunked in acid. He opens the door and walks in while ignoring the pleas from Kurama, who is telling him not to go in there. The room Zeref finds himself in is completely devoid of light. Darkness fills the room from the floor to the ceiling. Floating around the room are hundreds of large red orbs. Let's see the damage, thought Zeref. Usually, Zeref wouldn't give a damn about any child since he would spend his time away from civilization, but Naruto has earned his interest. From what he can tell, Naruto has had a harsh life which would make any grown man insane, but yet, he still has that spark in his eye which shows his strong soul. So he wants to know what is it that makes Naruto thick. What makes the child fight through the tortuous life as a Jinchuriki and not lose his mind? Walking over to a bubble, Zeref pops it and like before, the landscape changes to one of the past. What he sees sickens him. It shows a young 5-year-old Naruto trying to purchase food from several food vendors, but they all deny him service. The last vendor starts swinging around a butcher knife and shouts curses at Naruto, who runs away in fear. Blinking his eyes after looking through the memory, Zeref walks over and pops another memory bubble. Now, he is in an alley with a similar mob from the one in the real world, surrounding Naruto and beating him with anything they can get their hands on. They cut him with knives and kunais, burned him with torches, clubbed him with lead pipes and electrocuted him with jutsus. All the while, the mob laughs at the child's screams of pain and pleas to stop. Getting out of that memory, Zeref snarls in anger. He is over 400 years old, and so he has seen many sick and cruel things done by humans. He has seen men and women cheat on their husbands and wives without a second thought. He has seen parents sell their children into slavery just to get a bit of pocket change. He has seen bandits pillage and slaughter towns and villages just because they could. This just proves to him that humanity is truly a sick disease. For them to do such a thing to a child and laugh about it is disgraceful to all the species. While his hate for humanity grew, his respect for Naruto improved to a level he has only shown to Mavis. For someone so young to go through such an act of evil and not lose his sanity, truly is something to behold. Looking to his left, Zeref notices how the orb is a darker shade of red than the others. Walking over to the orb with caution, Zeref pops it like the others, and what he sees made him gasp in horror. He is now in the village square with a mob of civilians and shinobi surrounding the center of the square. Looking around, Zeref notes the ANBU on the buildings who seem to be enjoying the show. Zeref looks ahead to the center of the village square and amazingly, feels sick to his stomach, which is a great accomplishment, seeing as he has created some of the sickest and vilest demons in the world. In the center of the village square is a 4-year-old Naruto Uzumaki who is currently nailed into a cross by his hands and feet. Zeref can't see his eyes because his hair is shadowing his eyes, but a trail of blood can be seen pouring down the side of his head. A pool of blood grows ever so larger as Naruto's blood seeps from his wounds and into the floor. He has been stripped of his shirt, which gives Zeref a good view of the many cuts and bruises on the child's body along with the many kunai and swords embedded in non-vital yet painful areas of the body. The most noticeable wound on the child's body is the cut wound on his chest which reads Demon. Death to the demon. Avenge my husband's death. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. They all chanted. An hour later and everyone disperses back to their homes with big grins on their faces as they leave a horribly tortured Naruto to suffer his fate. Zeref doesn't end the memory there and instead continues it to see what will happen next. He stands there for an entire 30 minutes while staring at Naruto's still crucified and bloody form as the child tries to breathe. Someone eventually told the Hokage what happened to Naruto, and so he got his ANBU to cut him down and bring him to the hospital as Zeref follows them. Entering the hospital, Zeref sees the ANBU walk down the hallway towards a room while the doctors and nurses glare or smirk at the bloodied body of Naruto. The ANBU lazily drops Naruto on a bed and waits for the Hokage to arrive. The Hokage arrived a minute later with his own private doctor who does not look too happy treating the child, but the look from the Hokage tells him to do it, or he might be in trouble with the leader of the village. To think that they would go so far and do this. Minato must be rolling over in his grave, sobbed Hiruzen as he gazes down to the bandage-covered child. I wish I could do something, but the council have my hands tied. I'm so sorry. Zeref ignores the Hokage as he leaves and instead watches Naruto's steady yet pained breathing. To think humans have become so low. You truly amaze me, Naruto, he said as he gazes down at the unconscious Naruto. Humans have grown so weak to have fallen by their greed and ignorance, but yet tears begin to fall down Zeref's young face as he smiles sadly at Naruto. You never once cried. You never once showed them weakness. You stayed strong no matter what they did to you. Zeref hears Naruto mumble something in his sleep, so he moves closer and places his ear near Naruto's mouth to hear what he is saying. The next few words that come out of his mouth hit something inside Zeref, as his eyes widen and more tears fall down from his eyes. I won't give in. Zeref opens his eyes and sees that he is back in the bad memory room. Without a second glance at the other memories, he walks out of the room with a sense of duty in his steps. Kuruma looks up after watching the still sleeping Naruto and shivers in fear once he saw the untold fury in his creator's eyes. They shall suffer is the last thing Zeref says before he kicks himself out of Naruto's mindscape. Reality. Zeref opens his eyes to see the mob still standing in front of him. To him, which felt like an hour in Naruto's mindscape was actually a few seconds for the mob. He just barely catches Naruto, who collapses in blissful sleep after mentally falling asleep. The mob sees Naruto fall into the stranger's arms and all grin at the chance. The demon is weak. Kill it before it wakes up, roared the leader while waving his katana sword in the air. Cheers are his response as the mob wave their own weapons in the air while unknown to them. The man in front of them could kill the 9 tails fox with a single flick of his finger. They all made a move to kill the demon and possibly the stranger if he gets in their way. However, it takes them one step until they stop their advances and shake in fear. Many of them uncontrollably shake in terror and drop their weapons, feeling all of their strength leave them. The reason for their fear is because Zeref's red eyes are glaring straight into their souls. You scum have fallen from your glory days. Your greed and ignorance have powered your wicked ways for long enough, so I shall cast your sentence death. Go to the deepest parts of hell and burn for all of eternity. A black dome of death magic surrounds Zeref, which is frightening the mob even more from the immense power coming off the man in front of them. The civilians are on the verge of fainting, but no matter how much they wanted to pass out, something in the stranger's eyes is forcing them to stay conscious. All of a sudden, the dome of black mist shoots outwards in all directions. The mob of civilians and ninja try to move their bodies to run away from the incoming wall of death, but Zeref's unbelievable amount of killing intent is forcing them to stay where they are. The black mist washes over everything in its path, and whatever it floats by quickly dies. The wave of death magic washes over the mob, and one by one, they all drop like flies until they're all lying on the floor, dead. Zeref stops releasing his Ki, and looks around the area to see the damage. All the trees are now gray in color, and are slowly withering away into ash. Whatever nearby animals are now dead on the floor, and the grass is drying up before shivering away. Several birds which were once flying overhead him are now collapsing to the floor after having gotten hit with Zeref's death magic. If someone were to see the wasteland for the first time, they wouldn't believe that it was once a luscious forest. Turning around, Zeref waves his hand, and the shield he had to protect Naruto from his magic fades away before he picks him up into his arms. I'd better move us before more ninjas show up, thought Zeref before he and Naruto are surrounded by a swirling black mass of magic. When the magic disperses, they are gone. 12 kilometers from Konoha, in the center of an empty field, a swirl of black mist spins around for a few seconds before dispersing and showing Zeref with a sleeping Naruto in his arms. From what Kuruma has explained to me, Naruto's father is the former Hokage. If he is smart enough to perform a seal which is strong enough to hold back the Kyuubi, I would guess that he was smart enough to make a will to give Naruto an inheritance if he were to die. So why does he not have anything from him? Wondered Zeref in suspicion. Kuruma had also explained to him that the Hokage has kept Naruto's parentage a secret so his father's former enemies wouldn't come to try and assassinate him, which Zeref can understand. What he can't understand is the poor treatment of the former Hokage's son. If Hiruzen does know of Naruto's parents, then he should be protecting Naruto with everything he's got, but isn't. Clicking his fingers, in a poof of smoke and ash, a small demon is summoned in front of Zeref. A little creation Zeref has been making which he likes to call darklings. The demon is 2 feet tall and has glossy black skin. He is hunched over, and on his left hand is a bit of blood which Zeref guesses was from someone who annoyed him a few years ago but can't exactly remember who it was, and at this point, doesn't care. It is also wearing a baggy blue jumper which has the symbol of the Alvarez Empire on it. Darkling from Darkness game. It's waddling around the place in excitement for being outside again. It stops itself and looks up at his creator. Abortions has a very stern expression on his face. What will it be today, master? Asked the Darkling as it wobbles closer to the immortal mage. There is a large village a few kilometers away from here, he stated while pointing towards the direction of the Leaf Village. I need you to find me all the information they have on one Naruto Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze. If need be, you can summon more of your kindred. Just do not get caught. The Darkling smirks before giving a mock salute. Rightio, master. It shall be done. A swirling purple portal opens up underneath the Darkling and sucks him up. Zeref stands in the open field and stares towards the direction of the village. Wasteland. Hiruzen Sarutobi can honestly admit to himself that he is very confused at what he is seeing. He was called out of his office by Kakashi, who mentioned something bad happening just in the outskirts of the village, and so, like a good leader, he left the confines of his office to investigate. Upon arriving to a certain part of the forest, which was once a livid area of forestry, it is now a barren wasteland which infamy would usually see in wind country. Lined up in 3 different rows are what he guesses to be 4 dozen body bags. What the hell happened here? Demanded Hiruzen, wanting to know what could do such destruction. We are not sure what it is, sir, answered Inoichi as he appears beside his leader. There are no signs of chakra in the area, and it's obvious that this isn't from natural causes, but we are still looking for the source of this. How bad is the damage? Pretty bad, answered Inoichi with a frown. Ibiki walks up to Hiruzen with a clipboard and reads out the contents of it. There are 51 deceased. 39 are from a civilian background, while the rest are shinobi and kunoichi who all rank up from chunin to jonin. Dear Kami, that many? Asked Hiruzen in shock. That's not all. The wasteland also has a radius of 1 kilometer, and all living life from the kilometer radius are now dead. However, there is one survivor we found with a concussion. He is currently in the hospital, healing from his injuries. You're telling me that someone who might know the cause of this is in the hospital as we speak? Asked Hiruzen with his eyes narrowing. Yes, sir, replied Ibiki. Then come with me. I want the answers to all this, said Hiruzen before disappearing with Ibiki in a swirl of leaves. Konoha, hospital. Once they arrive in the hospital, Hiruzen and Ibiki make a beeline towards the survivor's room. In here? Asked Hiruzen. Yes, sir. Both Hiruzen and Ibiki walk inside the room and see the one survivor in a bed with bandages wrapped around his head. He has whitish blue hair which goes to his shoulders. Mizuki, what happened out there? Asked the Hokage with a stern stare. Mizuki looks up from his bedside and sees his leader standing there with the village's head interrogator. He decides to use his acting skills he has been practicing for the last 3 years. Lord Hokage? Thank Kami that you've arrived, said Mizuki with a happy smile. It was that demon who attacked me in the forest. I was able to escape with my life, he lied with a frightened expression, but Hiruzen and Ibiki easily see through his lies. You need to send a squad out to find and kill him. He's gotten too dangerous to keep alive, explained Mizuki while inwardly grinning at the thought of Naruto getting killed by a ANBU squad. Umbu! Called out Hiruzen, and 4 of his personal ANBU appear behind him in kneeling positions. Sir! They all announced at the same time. I want Naruto Uzumaki in front of me now, ordered the Hokage. Yes, Lord Hokage, they replied before disappearing in 4 separate poofs of smoke. Ibiki, I want the truth out of him in the next 5 minutes, ordered Hiruzen while glaring at Mizuki, who gapes at the Hokage in shock and a tinge of fear when he sees Ibiki, who's cracking his fingers menacingly. I only need 2, Ibiki replied with a grin. With a nod, Hiruzen leaves the room and ignores the constant screams coming from within the hospital room. True to his word, Ibiki comes out of the room in exactly 2 minutes. Bad news. Turns out, Mizuki had gotten a mob together to hunt down Naruto and kill him. Having gotten a good amount of people, he believed that if they were to kill him, you won't be able to do anything because of their majority. The last thing he remembers is chasing Naruto through a forest. Hiruzen clenches his fists in anger until they turn white. Damn fools! Why can't they understand that Naruto is a hero for holding back the Kyuubi, thought Hiruzen in anger. Hokage office. Growing out of the shadows inside the Hokage's office is the darkling Zeref had summoned earlier. After detecting none of those bothersome ANBU inside the room, it scurries out of the shadows and onto the ceiling before jumping off on top of the Kage desk while not caring for whatever he knocked down from it. Stupid monkeys. Now, let's see what you're hiding, chuckled the miniature demon. It crawls to the edge of the desk and pulls out all of the drawers onto the floor and goes searching through all the papers and documents, which he just piled onto the floor. Finding nothing, it looks around the room and stops when he notices the floor underneath the Kage chair is slightly elevated by an inch. Nobody would notice such a thing unless they have good eyes or know what they are looking for. The demon chucks away the chair and carpet and grins a tooth grin when he catches sight of a safe. He reaches out to touch it but brings his clawed finger back after a spark of lightning shoots out and electrocutes him. Motherfucker! Cursed the demon as he places his burnt finger into his mouth to ease the pain. He growls when he sees the intricate seals on the safe. As if that will stop me, it stated before it reaches out to the safe again, but this time, its claw is covered in a black aura. When his claw touches the safe, no lightning tries to zap him like last time. Instead, the seals all erode away into dust once the dark aura in the darklings spreads all over the runes. Opening the safe, he sees that it holds the forbidden sealing scroll and several documents. Chucking the large scroll to one side, the darkling scurried through the documents until it finds the name of Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Reading the contents of the file, the darkling smirks and chuckles lightly from what he is reading. Master isn't going to be happy about this, commented the darkling before taking the forbidden scroll and document, and disappears into the shadows of the now wrecked office. Zeref's location. Zeref continues to stare in the same direction which faces the Hidden Leaf village until he hears Naruto murmur, so he turns around to see Naruto waking up. Where am I? Naruto asked himself, still feeling the effects of sleeping off all of the stress from the evening. He looks around the open field and sees Zeref smiling down at him. Morning. A morning? Said Naruto, unsure if that's the correct term for right now. Where are we? He asked Hole, looking around the open field. He doesn't see the large buildings of the village and can't hear the populace, so he guesses that he must be somewhere other than the village. We're a few kilometers away from the village, told Zeref with a shrug of the shoulders. What? I need to get back before Tramps gets worried, shouted Naruto in worry. Zeref shakes his head and walks over to Naruto and squats down to get to eye level with the young child. Tell me, Naruto. What is it you hope to gain in the village? Naruto didn't expect that kind of question but answered anyway. I want everyone to acknowledge me for who I am. That's why I'll be Hokage someday, he said with a grin. Zeref looks into Naruto's eyes, not once losing his straight face. So, tell me how you are going to be Hokage? Asked Zeref. I'm going to be the strongest Shinoni in the village, Naruto announced with full confidence. How are you gonna do that if all the teachers kick you out of class? Asked Zeref, surprising Naruto at how he knows that. How do you know that? Asked Naruto as his confidence takes a drop from remembering all the times the teachers kicked him out of the classroom whenever they are learning anything of benefit. I've seen your memories while you were sleeping, answered the mage as he pokes Naruto's forehead. Why you saw my memories? Stuttered Naruto, all of confidence now gone as well as tears threatened to escape his eyes, but like all of the other times, he holds it all in. Zeref smiled warmly at the 6-year-old who is trying to play a strong front in front of himself. Zeref reaches out and brings Naruto into a surprising him from the sudden contact. It's alright to cry now. You deserve it, said Zeref soothingly. It doesn't take long for Naruto to empty his tear ducts as he cries out 6 years of pain and suffering into Zeref's shoulder. Zeref smiles as he pats the crying child's back, not caring if his robes get wet from Naruto's tears. After a full 10 minutes from crying, Naruto pulls back from Zeref and gives him a shy smile. Thank you big bro. Zeref's eyes widen as he hears Naruto's words but then smiles and rubs the top of his head with affection. It's alright, little brother, said Zeref, earning himself a big smile from Naruto. Big brother? I like the sound of that, thought Zeref with a smirk. Zeref narrows his eyes and looks to his left when he senses a magic source which gets him confused. No wizards other than him should be at this part of the world since it mostly consists of using that energy source they attain from in and out of their bodies. Chakra, if he remembers it properly. Instead of it being a wizard, his darkling jumps out of the floor from a portal with 2 items in its arms. A document and a large scroll. What did you find? Asked Zeref as he walks over to the small demon. The darkling chuckles, which scares Naruto, who hides behind Zeref and holds show robes for comfort. You wouldn't believe what I found, said the demon as he drops the forbidden scroll of sealing and hands out the document, which Zeref takes and reads. While he reads away, Naruto pokes his head from behind Zeref's robes and takes a few steps over to the small demon. The darkling notices the child and glares at him, thinking that he's gonna shout and squeal and try to kill him like all the other stupid humans. What are you staring at, monkey? Naruto ignores the name and walks over to the demon's face with stars in his eyes. That was so cool. Can you teach me how to do that whole thingy? He asked in awe, referring to the portal he used. In Naruto's mind, this isn't just an unholy being. The demon blinks a few times to get used to the shock until he smirks. I think I'm gonna like this kid. While the demon and child began to chatter, Zeref reads the file. Name Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Parents, Minato Namikaze, deceased. Kushina Uzumaki, deceased. Family, godfather, Jiraiya, godmother, Tsunade Senju. Occupation, Jinchuriki. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze's heritage has been kept secret to the populace so he won't be in danger of assassins and to protect the village from his parents' enemies such as Iwagakure and Kumogakure, who all hold grudges against his parents for their accomplishments in the previous war. Naruto has not been told of his parents, in fear that he unknowingly reveals their identities. It also because of this reason he has not been allowed the ownership of his parents' former estate as well as their bank accounts and possessions, so he is now staying at the orphanage. Naruto's identity as a Jinchuriki has been announced to the entire village, in hopes that they may act positive to Naruto, but instead, they reacted with negative responses. The council has declared that Naruto cannot be adopted by a ninja clan in fear that they get too much power in the village, and he can't be adopted by civilians so he can continue his parents' legacy and become a shinobi. At the age of 4, Naruto was kicked out of the orphanage by the caretaker, who is serving a maximum of 5 years in prison for his actions. The council has provided Naruto with an apartment in the red light district, which he has been living in since then. 3 years after the Kyuubi attack, the council had ordered the liquidation of the Uzumaki and Namikaze accounts, which are now being used to finance the ninja corps and repairs to the village. However, nobody has been able to gain entrance to the Uzumaki and Namikaze estate to attain the many scrolls and valuable items from within, due to the identity seals, which requires DNA from a willing relative, which means Naruto is the only suitable subject to allow entry. Jiraiya of the Sannin was called in by the order of the Hokage to get past the seals, but he has rejected the order since he sees it as an insult to his student. Since then, the estate has been sealed off from the world, but a research team has been formed to search for ways to get inside the estate. Jiraiya has neglected his duties as Naruto's godfather so he can concentrate on his spy network. Tsunade is still away from the village and has not been informed of Naruto's existence, in fear that she will take their Jinchuriki away from the village. The more Zeref reads, the more he wants to go back and lay waste to the village. From what he is reading, it's clear that the Hokage thinks of Naruto as more of a weapon than a child. It says it all when he took away the money which belonged to Naruto, how he has him living in the red light district, and how he hasn't told the one sort of family member who might have cared for him that he is alive because he is afraid that she'll take him away from the village. This is more of a reason to take Naruto away from the village and away from the corrupt leader. Turning around, Zeref smirks at seeing Naruto play tag with the Darkling. I swear, he must be the only child who isn't afraid of demons, thought Zeref with a chuckle. Naruto, can you come over here? Asked Zeref while waving over the blonde. Naruto stops playing with his first friend and walks over to Zeref. Yes, big bro, would you like to travel with me? I can train you to gain power and strength many would barely imagine, asked Zeref, making Naruto's eyes widen in shock. He was about to say no until he starts to think about it. It isn't like he likes the village all that much. Everyone treats him like dirt except for a few who help him, but he can count all of them with one hand. He still wants to be Hokage, but Zeref is right about it. How can he get strong if nobody will give him a chance? Looking up to Zeref's eyes, Naruto asks, will I be strong? Zeref smirks at his question, liking the child even more. When I'm done training you, you'll be the strongest in the world. Okay. Grinned Naruto. Zeref raises his hand. Oh, stop Naruto from continuing his little celebration. However, if you come with me, you can't come back here and become a Shinoni, he explained, but to his surprise, Naruto immediately agreed. That's fine. Are you sure? Aren't there a few people you might miss? Asked Zeref, knowing the answer. He knows that there are only a handful of people in the village who treat Naruto like a human being, and that doesn't include the Hokage. In fact, the only people who treat him nicely are the father and daughter duo who run the ramen stand and the trench coat wearing kunoichi. Naruto nods his head in agreement. I know, but as you said, I can't become strong here. Even if I have to sacrifice my chance at being Hokage, I'm okay with that. I will miss Ayame and her father, but I'm sure they would understand my decision. He's a lot smarter and mature for his age, thought Zeref as he looks into Naruto's sky-blue eyes. Very well, let's head off, said Zeref before turning his back to Naruto. Naruto was going to say something, but Zeref interrupts him before he can. I know you must have a lot of questions, but wait until we leave the country. Okay, said Naruto, as he sees the darkling poof away back to the void. Naruto looks up at Zeref and asks, Big bro, you said that I can't be a shinobi. So, what am I gonna be? Zeref smiles and brings Naruto in close as a black magic circle appears underneath their feet. Why, a mage of course, replied the black mage before they both vanish from the clearing and the elemental nations. Chapter 2. 11 years later. In the kingdom of Fiori there is a city surrounded by mystery which others are trying to figure it out. It's situated south of Magnolia and has been there for the last 2 years and is named Lotus Town. What confused people was how it got there. From what anybody knew, that land was just a plain grasslands. Nobody heard of any construction being made there, and neither did the Magic Council. All they knew was that somebody purchased the lands a week before the city appeared. Many people asked how the city was made, but none of the inhabitants gave any information away. The city is as big as Magnolia and the buildings have the same designs like theirs, but the only difference is the large building situated in the center of the city. It wouldn't really be a building. It would be described as a castle from the outside because of the large brick walls and towers surrounding it. It was twice the size of Fairytail's recently reconstructed guild hall. Above the large double doors which allow entrance is a plaque with the symbol of the guild on it. The symbol is a perfectly shaped human heart, but half of it is black while the rest of it is white, while the outline is red. The symbol is recognized as the symbol of true heart. The guild hall looks like a large castle, but if somebody was to look inside then they would see the walls made of brownish wood while the floor was covered in wooden tiles. There are several floors which contain different rooms like the large library, training room, spare bedrooms, etc. At the bottom floor is the main hall where everyone mostly hangs out at. There are dozens of round tables spread out for the members to sit at, while the left side of the hall was the bar where the images can purchase food or drinks. To the right is a large job request board which is covered with job requests. All the members that were in the hall were all laughing together and partying without a care in the world. While they were having fun, a blonde-haired Jinchuriki wasn't having any fun. "Goddamn paperwork!" shouted Naruto, waving his hands in the air comically. Chuckling in front of Naruto's desk was none other than his adoptive brother Zeref. Zeref hasn't aged one bit since they both met each other 11 years ago. He was even wearing the same robes as before. Naruto, however, did change. Now 17, he has grown into a fine young man. His face has grown lean and all baby fat has been gone from the training his brother made him do. His hair has grown just past his shoulders but still kept his spikiness. He is now 63 foot and is wearing Sinkazumi's outfit from Dog Days. I'm sure it's not that bad, said Zeref. Naruto just glared at the dark image. Shut it. You can't feel my pain. Whose bright idea was it to make a guild? Asked Naruto to himself. Yours, smiled Zeref, seeing Naruto slamming his head up and down his table. Ever since Naruto became Zeref's little brother, Zeref was a lot more open now because he was able to socialize with Naruto. It helped them both because either of them were allowed to speak to people. Naruto because nobody wanted to talk with him, while Zeref couldn't go near anybody without them dropping dead, but now because of Naruto's seal on his back, Zeref doesn't lose control of his magic anymore, much to his teary joy. He was so happy he wouldn't let go of Naruto, much to the latter's terror. Ever since 3 years ago, both of them have been leading the guild together. There was no single leader. It was either Naruto, Zeref, or both of them. Naruto and Zeref continued to fill in the paperwork until they heard a shout from the main hall. Which one of you bastards stole my ice cream sundae? Afterwards an explosion can be heard and then several others were been made. Naruto smirked while Zeref sighed and shook his head. You'd think that they would be more mature than this, sighed Zeref, standing up. Oh, don't be a party pooper. You know what they say, if you want the most badass guild then get the most badass wizards, replied Naruto, walking beside his brother towards the door while also cheering inwardly at being able to get out of doing paperwork. Opening the door they saw what others would call a war zone. Magic was shooting everywhere while others were fist fighting. Naruto smirked, seeing all the smiles on the members' faces. It showed that it wasn't personal, but actually they all enjoyed the roughhousing. Looking around, Naruto saw black flames shooting one direction while ice was shot through the other. A speedy blur was running around the guild at amazing speeds and a large figure with black curly hair was running around trying to catch it while not caring if he knocked a table or a person out of the way. How did we find all these fools, thought Zeref, looking at the destruction being made in front of him. Flashback. 2 years ago. You want to do what? Asked Zeref, surprised at what Naruto wanted to do. Both he and Naruto have been traveling the world together so Zeref could show Naruto the life outside the elemental countries. Right now both of them are staying in a hotel at Clover Town and are gonna travel to Magnolia the next day. During the years they traveled together, Zeref has taught Naruto several types of magic, one being his death magic. Zeref has been impressed by the progress Naruto was making, and after convincing Kurama to help Naruto, He's been able to use Kuruma's power, which increased his own tenfold. He is not as strong as Zeref, but he could destroy a country no problem, which made Zeref so proud in his little brother. You heard me. I want to make a guild, told Naruto seriously. Zeref was bewildered at that. Why? Why would you make a guild so you can be under the control of the Magic Council? Asked Zeref, knowing that the guilds have to listen to the Magic Council if they made an order. Zeref's answer was a cold look from Naruto. My guild will be a light guild, but nobody orders me, told Naruto. Ever since Naruto traveled with Zeref, he has become a lot more confident in himself, and isn't afraid to stand up for himself. It also helps that he has the power to make anybody drop dead on the spot. That's why if he were to ever return to the damned Leaf Village, then he wouldn't be afraid to show them all how badly they fucked up. Zeref was willing to destroy the entire village because of what they did to Naruto, but Naruto changed his mind, saying that there are still several people there that he cares about. Zeref reluctantly agreed, but still had dreams of destroying the village with an army of demons. That would show them. Zeref smirked, hearing his little brother secretly threaten the Magic Council. Now thinking about it, Zeref was growing sick of all the traveling. With him being over 400 years old, he had traveled the world already before he met Naruto, and now seeing the world all over again, he really wasn't all that impressed, since there was no changes other than a destroyed city, or a fallen wall. That's why he kinda likes the idea of a guild. However, he does have one thought on it. Who would we get to join the guild? Zeref still didn't like the idea of being in close proximity with humans because he thinks they are still scum, especially after what he saw in Konoha. Naruto just smiled at the dark mage. I already have several people in mind. Council prison. The prison that the council controls isn't like any other prison. It has been specially made in order to block a wizard's magic powers. All prisoners brought into a large room with a large ceiling. They are then put into a large blue crystal prison which blocks their magic power. The crystal then starts to hover in the air as a safety measure, so if the prisoner broke out of their prison, then they would fall from a large height. Once the crystal is in the air, the only way to get to it is to fly on a special machine which is controlled by magic power. In the prison there are hundreds and hundreds of crystals holding all the most dangerous and powerful wizards in Fiori. And right now several are getting visits. Cobra is a member of the Oration Cease who were defeated by the Light Guild Alliance, which was formed so they could defeat them. Cobra had fought and defeated Urza Scarlet easily, but he couldn't beat a Dragon Slayer. Ever since he fought Natsu, he has been angry for 3 reasons. The first was because he lost against the first-generation Dragon Slayer. Second is because he was betrayed by his own comrade Brain, and the last reason, which was the one that truly made him feel angry and sad all at once, he has lost his only friend in the world. Cubelios. When he got arrested by the Rune Knights, he had asked what happened to Cubelios. They told him that they couldn't find his snake partner, much to his displeasure. He was sitting on the ground of his crystal prison with his left leg crouched so he could place his arm over it. He was wearing a brownish tunic with brown pants which had cuts at the bottom of it. He was thinking about the past, how he was forced to create the R system, how he was chosen to be one of the Oration Cease chosen by Brain, his life as a dark mage, Nirvana, Fairytail, and finally his lost friend, Cubelios, he thought sadly. He heard a knock coming from in front of him. Looking up, he saw one of the frog men standing in front of while on top of the flying machine. Why is he here? It isn't time for dinner yet. You got a visitor, told the toad. Cobra widened his eyes hearing that. What? I have a visitor? Thought Cobra, surprised. Who would visit him? He is a dark wizard after all, so he isn't all that popular out there, so why is someone visiting him of all people? The toad man moved aside for the visitor. Cobra was shocked that the person visiting him was a young lad who seemed to be in his teens. He saw him wearing a plain black shirt with a picture of a 9-tailed fox on it, and he wore casual blue jeans with sneakers. All in all, it looked like your average teen. You must be Cobra, said the teen. Yeah, and who are you? Glared Cobra. I am Naruto Uzumaki, and I'd like to have a talk with you, said the blonde with a smile. Cobra still had his glare up while Naruto talked. Damn, I wish the stupid magic canceller wasn't active, or I'd be able to read his thoughts. There's something I'd like to ask you. Cobra knew that glaring at the teen wouldn't work, so he sat down with his folded arms and looked away. Fine. What do you want? Why? Cobra looked at Naruto as if he was stupid. What do you mean why? Why what? Asked Cobra angrily, thinking if the blonde is retarded. I mean, why do you do what you do? Why a dark wizard? Why are you a member of Oration Cease? Why not leave? Asked Naruto with confidence. Who are you to ask me what I do with my life? Yelled Cobra, pissed that someone he doesn't even know asked him something so personal. I'm someone, you can see it in your eyes, Cobra. I can see the pain, loneliness, your broken heart. So tell me, why be what you are, since it only brings you suffering? Cobra widened his eyes hearing Naruto's words. How does he know that? Thought Cobra, surprised. Cobra quickly straightened himself and looked towards the left, even though there isn't anything to look at over there. It's because all through my life I have been screwed over by everyone. My life has been chosen by other people and I'm used by all of them. I've been used to make the R system as a child. I've been used by Brain as a pawn and thrown away like the thrash I'm made up to be, and I've lost the only friend I have ever made. So yeah, that's why I do what I do. Happy? Mocked asked Cobra. His response wasn't what he expected. The blonde teen in front of him didn't insult him back or leave him be. Instead he smiled. He turned to the frog councilman. Him as well, said Naruto. Cobra didn't know what he meant by that, but he did notice that the council had a bit of sweat on down his left brow, and seemed nervous. Right. Naruto then used his floating board to float down to the entrance. Cobra then saw the council man use his magic to open the crystal cell. Follow me, told the frog man. Cobra didn't know what was going on, but he still got up and stood on the floating board alongside the council man. As they were floating down, Cobra noticed how the person didn't place handcuffs on himself. What is he doing? Does he want me to try and escape, thought Cobra, flexing his hand. Before he could think about escaping, he was pushed into a room by the frogman. Cobra fell on the floor face first. What the hell, man? Warn me next time, will you? Shouted Cobra comically. Cobra? Hearing his name being said, Cobra turned around and widened his eyes, seeing his comrades again. Midnight, Hot Eye, Angel and Racer were all standing there in their prison clothes just like he is. He also noticed the extra occupant in the room and was surprised by who he saw. Jalal, muttered Cobra, looking at the blue-haired man. What's going on here? Asked Angel, not liking the situation. She remembered the same type of situation in a movie she saw and remembered how some prisoners were brought into one room and then were killed off. I don't know either, but before I was brought here some blondie talked to me in front of my cell, told Cobra, seeing everyone else widen their eyes. You were visited by him as well? Said Midnight. Now they all knew who was the person who got them where they were. They all then noticed the door open and saw several rune knights enter the room and surround them. What the hell is this? Shouted Racer, looking around and noticed that they were all placed in a rune trap. Nobody answered his question, which pissed him off from being ignored. They all saw the same glasses-wearing rune knight that arrested them walk through the crowds and looked at all of them with a calculative eye. By the power invested in me by the council, I've come to inform you all that you have all been released by bail. All items that were taken when you all came in shall be returned to you right now, he said. Everyone was surprised to hear that somebody had bailed them out. If you wouldn't mind if I ask, who was the person who paid for our freedom? Asked Hot Eye, holding up his hand. He may be good now because of Nirvana's effects, but he still knows he wronged a lot of people in his life, so he doesn't know who would be kind or stupid enough to pay for their release. A fool who doesn't know that bad people such as yourselves need to be imprisoned and punished, but I guess I can't do anything because of that stupid law, sighed Lahar, getting a glare from Cobra and Racer, but he ignored it. Just then several rune knights who were holding a box each dropped one at each person's feet. Curious, everyone opened their box and saw that their normal clothes were all in there. There are different changing rooms in each door behind you, so go get dressed. By the way, I wouldn't try anything if I were you. You might be released, but you're all gonna be placed on 3-month probation. Everyone just nodded their heads and went into each changing room and then came out wearing the same outfits they had on during the Nirvana incident. Now if you would follow me, asked Lahar, waving them over and then walking away down the hallway towards the entrance of the building. While walking down, the Oration Cease members were whispering among each other. Who in their bright mind would bail us out? Whispered Angel. Must be that blonde kid who visited us earlier, replied Racer. Midnight nodded his head in agreement, but looked a bit upset. What's going on? Asked Cobra, seeing the doors. Going through them, they all noticed that they were all outside. Ah, fresh air, how I love you, shouted Hot Eye, stretching his arms up. Looking around, they saw the same blonde from earlier standing a couple of feet from them. Nobody said anything for what felt like 10 minutes until Midnight interrupted the silence. Where is my father Brain? Why isn't he with us? Asked Midnight, staring into Naruto's eyes. Naruto didn't respond immediately but answered him still. Because he's not like you six. This confused everyone there, wondering what he means by that. What do you mean? Asked Angel. She was confused just like everyone else, but she did agree the kid in front of her looked pretty cute, but saved that thought for later. I mean, you all don't have blackened hearts like you all. He is a corrupt man who will do anything for power. You all have been used through all your lives, and that's something that I could relate to. However, Brain will use you all like he did Cobra here, told Naruto, pointing at Cobra. Cobra then unintentionally grabbed his shoulder where he got hit by Brain's spell when he betrayed him. What does he mean by that? Asked Racer. Sighing, Cobra told his comrades about what occurred with him and Brain during the Nirvana incident. To say everyone was shocked would be an understatement. Father did that, muttered Midnight in shock. Naruto saw them all comprehend what they heard, so he did what he wanted to do since he got here. Everyone. I will get to the point. I want you all to join the guild that I'm gonna make, said Naruto with his usual grin. Everyone in Oration Cease and Jalal all were all shocked at that. You want us to do what? Asked Cobra, not sure he heard him right. You heard me. I want you to join the new light guild I'm forming, told Naruto, not once losing the grin on his face. What are you on about? We are Oration Cease, one of the most strongest dark guilds in the Balam Alliance. Why would we join a light guild? Asked / shouted Angel. Naruto just smirked at her, which caused a small tinge of red to form on her cheeks. Because I can make the guild become the strongest in the world, and it can help you reflect on your crimes. Why would we reflect on our crimes? Asked Racer, not fully believing his speech. Isn't there somebody out there you want to meet again? Somebody who, when you do meet, can be proud of you. Angel, Hot Eye, and Jalal widened their eyes at the thought. It's true that they all have someone they want to meet again, but can't because they lost contact with them. Jalal wants to meet Urza again, and somehow repent for what he has done to her and for killing Simon. Hatai wants to meet his long-lost brother but doesn't want to meet him in the state he's in right now. Angel wants to meet her long-lost sister who she hasn't met in years. If she were to see her again, she doesn't want it to be on bad terms. Thinking about it, those three made their decisions. I'll join / I'll go / I'm in the three same at the same time. Naruto smiled seeing that he convinced them, but the rest of Oration Cease were shocked. Angel? Hatai. What are you doing? Shouted Cobra in shock. I'm sorry my comrades, but what he says is true. I can't meet my brother again as a criminal. I must repent, and if joining his guild will help me, then I will join him, said Hatai. Same here. I don't want my sister to see me as a ruthless villain. It would break her heart, so I'm joining his guild, told Angel. What about the rest of you? Asked Naruto. Racer looked in conflict with himself while Cobra and Midnight both looked like they know what to say. No. After losing my friend, there's nothing for me here in Fiori, said Cobra looking up to the sky. Your friend? Did they die? Asked Naruto, wondering what he means by that. My best friend Cubelios disappeared from me after I was arrested. I can only guess the worst, said Cobra looking away, not noticing a large figure slithering its way past Naruto towards Cobra. Angel, Hatai and Racer seeing it smiled while Midnight raised an eyebrow. Feeling something crawl up his back, Cobra turned around and widened his eyes seeing his partner and best friend again. See Cubelios, stuttered Cobra. His response was a lick on his cheek. He smiled knowing it is her and hugged her head. Thank God, he smiled. I found her in an alley when I was walking here. Looked like it was looking for something, but I guess she was looking for you, smiled Naruto. You brought her to me? Asked Cobra surprised. Naruto nodded his head. Cobra looked at him for a couple of seconds while thinking until he smiled. Maybe a light guild would be so bad, said Cobra, surprising Midnight and Racer. Midnight stared at Naruto until he finally asked him the question that was bugging him. Why are you helping us? Naruto titled his head at the Gothic wizard. What do you mean by that? I mean, why are you helping us dark wizards? We have done countless awful things to other people, but yet you don't care. Why? He asked, generally confused. Naruto just smiled at him, knowing that what his doing would confuse a normal person. It's because you're not the first dark wizards I met. The first one I met is supposed to be fully evil who enjoys the death of others. Well, that's how everyone made him to be believed, just like the villagers had done to myself at my previous home. However, I see him as my adoptive older brother who only took care of me after he saved me from my rat home years ago. Naruto then told them about his life in the Hidden Leaf, but he didn't tell them about Zeref yet. When he was finished, all the Oration Cease plus Jelao were gaping like fish and were thinking how was he still sane from going through such horror. And I thought that we had it rough, thought Racer. Midnight was looking towards the blonde with wide eyes. He's gone through hell and returned back still alive and well. For a person to go through that makes the R system seem like a kiddie's joke. After thinking it over, Midnight came to a conclusion. I'll join, he said, walking towards Naruto. Racer and everyone else was shocked at that. Everyone would have thought that he would be the hardest to convince, but hearing about his father's betrayal and Naruto's past made him decide to give the life of Light a chance. Seeing that he was on his own and everyone else was staring at him made Racer sweat a bit till he sighed in defeat. Damn group pressure. Naruto smiled seeing that everyone decided to join. So what now, Master? Asked Midnight with a small smile and twitch to his eye. Naruto just smirked, knowing that they will find it odd to call someone they barely know master. Now it's about time we meet Tartaros. Tartaros Guild Hall meeting room. Sitting around a large round table are the strongest members of Tartaros. They are known as the 9 demon gates and are special for 2 reasons. One is that they are all demons, and secondly is that they use curses instead of magic. The members all consist of Jackal, a young muscular Aetherius who seems to have some animal features. He has dark brown hair which goes to his shoulders and blocks the left side of his face. Just upwards on top of his head is a pair of fox-like ears. He has a furry tail coming out of his lower back which is the same color as his hair, and he has sharp teeth. He has black spots around his one visible eye, and one both his arms. The black spots connect with each other when they reach his hands, making them completely black. His wear king a green striped tank top paired with a brownish bandana adorned by pale yellow spots. He is also wearing whitish beige pants which seem to be baggy and loose. He is seen wearing black boots with light brown soles. His curse is very powerful because he can make incredible explosions. Silver. He's a well-built man who seems to be in his 30s or 40s. Only difference between him and the other members of the 9 demon gates is that he bears no demonic traits. He has spiky black hair, a sharp face and a light sideburn that reaches down to his stubble. He is wearing 2 silver earrings that are shaped as crosses. He also has a large scar going down from his hair to his lower left ear. He's wearing a long-sleeved light brown shirt with brown gloves coming from his forearms and hands. Over his shirt the Ice Devil Slayer dons a segmented chest plate with Absolute Zero written on it. He also has a long white cape on his back. He is sitting back in his chair with a calm smile. Keys. He wears a checkered design cloak with a high collar shirt and tie underneath it. Around his face and head he wears an ornate headpiece, showing the Tartaros mark. Most notable feature about him is that he has a skeleton body. His curse ability is necromancy, which he has used against Silver, who is only alive now because Keed is alive as well. Kyoka. Most notable thing about her is her half-human/half-aviary characteristics. Covering her form is a skin-tight suit that emphasizes her large chest and partially reveals her buttocks. Her shoulders and arms are concealed by a purple long-sleeved striped jacket with flaring sleeves, a four-way split-tail back, and a large gaping collar that covers her neck. Said sleeves covers most of her hands, which take shape of sharp and scaly talons, whilst a thick pair of bands wraps around the woman's thighs and stopping at her set of bird-like feet. Her curse's ability can affect a person's bodily sensation. Right now she had a smirk on her face for who knows why. Tempester, who has a lion-like face, had his arms folded with a look of seriousness. He is wearing a light cape which covers his head in a cape. His chest is revealed, showing muscular form. His hair is loose and covers parts of both cheeks and reaches down to his neck, while some strands are left hovering in front of his face. His curse lets him make and control natural disasters on will. Franmoth. He is a small, round humanoid creature, with his most noticeable feature being its one eye under its helmet. He dons a necklace and various paintings around his neck. Along with his helmet, the creature has armor placed on its shoulders. Also, both arms are covered in stripes that go from red and yellow. He also wears the same styled pants, which is held up by a brown belt. His look is complete with a rod that he uses to help him walk. His curse gives him the ability to absorb a person's soul and use their own abilities. Right now a large grin is placed on his face. Ezel. His large muscular demon with blue skin, 4 arms and 6 tentacles. He has an angular face and spiky protrusions on the top of his head. He has yellowish eyes and sharp fawn-like teeth, making him look menacing if the rest of his deadly body wasn't enough. All his arms and chest all support triangular tattoos, and he also has a chain tied on his chest. His curse allows him to use his tentacles as swords. Torrefuser is a large, very muscular demon who resembles a shark but also a lizard man in both build and posture. His skin is dark pinkish in color, while the plate covering his head is a dark red. Scales can be seen around his body, and both his arms have an arched fin-like blade on the outer side. His entire outfit consists of brown color in different shades. He wears an open short-sleeved shirt and whitish-brown pants alongside a pair of simple dark brown shoes. His curse allows him to summon poisonous water. Scylla. She is a gold-horned female demon. On Med's head is a white hair band which holds back her hair from getting in her face. Tied around her neck is a white strap. Scylla's attire consists of a very revealing beige-colored leopard-printed kimono. The kimono is wrapped around her figure by a yellow decorative ribbon that ties around her back and her outfit, and complemented by thigh-high socks that reveals her heels and toes. Her curse gives her the ability to control anybody or anything. At the head of the round table was the Dark Guild Underworld King Mardgeir. He is a tall, lean man who has the appearance of a young man. Mardgeir's black hair is long and wavy, reaching down to his shoulders even whilst most of it is tied in a ponytail. Additionally, his messy black hair all but obscure his dark slanted eyes. He dons a long black jacket trimmed by light flame patterns. Under the jacket he is wearing a frilly v-neck white shirt. He also wears a white pair of pants that lay lazily over a pair of plain boots. He had a smirk on his face, and was carrying a book that had the words "End." Now then, thank you all for coming to our little meeting. The reason we are here is because I want to hear all your reports about any sightings of our master, said Mardgeir, not losing his smirk once. Nobody was able to answer because the cube which consists of their base started to shake. Everyone stood up from their chairs except for Mardgeir, who still had his smirk in place. What the hell is that? Asked Ezel. Just then, the double doors for the rooms shot open and rockets towards Jackal, who makes them explodes before they could hit him. When the dust cleared, everybody was surprised when they saw a spiky blonde teen standing there with a stoic face. Who the hell are you and how did you get here? Shouted Kyoka. She and most of the other demons in the room were trying to figure out a human so young could get into the meeting room so easily. Smiling towards her, Naruto answered her question. Why, I walked here, of course, he said innocently, which made a shiver go down her spine. There's something wrong with this kid, thought Silver, analyzing the child. From what he can tell from the blonde stance and the look in his eyes is that the kid has gone through tough battles before. Not to be going into the meeting room of the 9 demons plus master is just plain suicide. Before anybody could make a move on the blonde, Mardgeir raised his hand to halt any advance. Hold it, all of you. Mardgeir wants to know why the human is in front of us, said ordered Mardgeir. Some members nodded their heads while some grudgingly agreed. Naruto looked at Mardgeir's eyes, and when the demon looked into Naruto's eyes, he felt something that he couldn't recognize with himself. What is this feeling? Thought Mardgeir, wondering more about the blonde. While that was going on, the base continued to shake and some parts were destroyed. That is the former members of Oration Cease and Jelal fighting any members of Tartaros they meet. It's good to see one of you can strike a conversation, told Naruto, getting glares from the demon gates and a growl from Ezel, who was slowly losing his patience with the humans. Well then, why don't you tell us why you are here then, human, asked Mardgeir, smirking but still thinking about the feeling he got earlier. Ah yes. The reason for my appearance is because I'm forming my own light guild, so I'm here to destroy yours and recruit you all to it, Naruto told all the 9 demons. There was an echoing silence until it was filled by laughter from the demons. Even the monk skeleton chuckled from the blonde's words. Ha 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 ha. A human wanting us to join his little weak guild. And he thinks he can destroy ours, laughed Jackal. Naruto didn't once lose his smile, all knowing that it was part of the plan. After everyone controlled their laughter, Mardgear asked a question he really wanted to know. And how exactly will you do that, human? He emphasized the human word. Just then a large amount of power was being released from the 14-year at the blonde with a sweat drop they all a black-orange aura coming off the human, by making you submit. Sterling himself, Ezel jumped into the air and descended at the human with all 6 tails poised to impale the blonde where he is. Die! He shouted. Naruto lifted his left hand and a black orb formed on it. Zeref's black orb he used against Altair. No. You die. He then hurled the black orb upwards towards the descending octopus-like demon. To every other demon shock, the black orb went through their comrade's chest like butter and disappeared into thin air. Naruto sidestepped to his right so he wouldn't get hit by the fallen demon which plummeted where he once stood. Shock wasn't even the word that everyone else was feeling. Even Mardgear, who rarely shows emotion, was surprised by the blonde's power. What was that magic? He just killed one of us like it was nothing, thought Kyoka. I told you that I'll make you submit, and that's what I intend to do, told Naruto, disappearing in a blur. Just then Jackal felt a presence behind himself. Turning around, he just in time witnessed the fast-moving fist that connected with his stomach, making him gasp for air and collide with the wall, making spider cracks form. Naruto turned around towards the reptile-looking demon until he hears a chuckle coming from Jackal, who was still stuck in the wall. Fool! My curse allows whatever I touch to be destroyed in my explosion, said Jackal with a grin. Looking down at his hand, Naruto saw a glowing circle appear on it. Knowing what's gonna happen, Naruto jumped towards the lizard man, and before the demon could make a defense, Naruto had already placed his fist into his mouth. An explosion was then made in front of everyone else. Blocking their eyes from the smoke, they didn't notice a yellow blur move through the smoke. Looking at where the blonde once stood, everyone widened their eyes, seeing the dead and scorched body of Torafuser. But the human wasn't anywhere in sight. Did he get blown up? Asked Elia, looking around. No. If he was, then we would be able to see his body, thought Silver. He was interrupted when he heard a scream beside himself. Jumping back, he saw Naruto had leg sweeped Kyoka and then front flip kick her into the ground, making her go through the floor and the rest until she impacted into the floor at the very bottom. Kyoka! Shouted Scylla in worry. She then glared at the blonde, who tilted his head, making him look innocent, which honestly scared the others. Who know what is this kid? He can't be human from the skills he's showing, thought Mardgear, losing his grin but was still sitting on his chair. You shall pay! Shouted Scylla in anger with her palm raised towards the blonde. Naruto raised an eyebrow when his own body started to move on its own. He saw himself pick up a sharp rock which was once part of the door he busted through. Before Naruto's body could impale himself with the sharpened rock, he called upon the power of Kuruma. Kuruma, if you could. Alright, you brat. The power is on its way. All the demons' eyes widened when Naruto's power level were going higher than ever. The new strength given by the Kyuubi had made Selaya's curse fluctuate and lose control of Naruto. What on earth is this child? The power he has is overwhelming, thought Tempest, sweating from the power being unleashed. Is that Yuki? Thought Mardgear, truly shocked now. Even he had a bit of sweat going down his brow. Before his eyes, Naruto started to change. His body became covered in yellow flames which didn't seem to burn his body. The jacket he had on grew down to his ankles and started to change the design as well. Black lines were lined up around his body while his whisker marks became more defined. His eyes turned yellow while also being slotted like a fox's. Bijou mode, but he is a bit smaller and has no headband. Shall we? Asked Naruto, make the come hither motion with his hand. Taking the bait, Tempest covered himself in a spinning twister and charged toward the blonde, while at the same time Silver had made a bow of ice and snotted towards Naruto. Smirking, Naruto waited for the right time to move. Seeing Tempest a couple of inches from his face, Naruto disappeared in a yellow flash and appeared behind Tempest, shocking the other demons. He then drop-kicked Tempest to where he stood a second ago. Landing with this, he quickly stood up, not realizing the freezing arrow coming towards himself. He gasped in shock when an iced arrow impaled itself into his left arm. Ayak, he shouted in pain while holding onto his left arm. Naruto ran up to the distracted demon and high-kicked him into the air while he disappeared and reappeared in front of the flying demon. Naruto then disappeared and several yellow blurs surrounded Tempest, while at the same time he was gaining bruises and cuts from the high-speed attacks. After falling down onto the ground unconscious, Naruto reappeared on the table, making the rest back off. Unknowing to them, Naruto had hit Tempest around 1,000 times with steel-blowing strength. This ain't no human. This is a monster, thought Celaya, blinking and seeing Naruto had disappeared. Turning around quickly and moving her leg for a side kick, she was blocked by Naruto's forearm while the other arm was forming some sort of sphere on its palm. Rasengan! He shouted, striking her in the stomach. The Kyuubi-powered Rasengan was powerful enough to rip through her kimono and started drilling her stomach. She was then shot through the table and landed face first unconscious. Hyoma Zero no Tachi, Ice Devil's Zeroth long sword, he heard shout behind him. Turning around, he saw Silver with a katana made of ice poised to strike. Bringing his attack upwards, Naruto was given a large cut on his chest and was instantly frozen on the spot. Thinking they were finished, all the demons converged on the frozen human. To think a human could do this type of damage. Who is he? Thought Mardgear, making a thinking pose. What an amazing specimen. He could be used well for my projects, said the necromancer. Franmoth was quick to interject. Are you mad, man? Look at the destruction he made here. We are going to make money off of him so we can pay for these damages, smirked the small demon. Just then more explosions have been made in other parts of the base. Sighing, Mardgeir got off his chair with Yendi still in hand. First things first, we handle the rest of the pests, he said, and brought his index and middle finger to his head and made a telepathic connection towards Lammy. Lammy, report. Sir, we got a problem, said Lammy while looking at the destruction of her lab. What's wrong? The damn humans destroyed my lab. Now I can't regenerate anybody, shouted Lammy. Mardgeir's eyes widened hearing that. He realized that was part of their plan. The strongest out of them all fights and kills several of them, while the rest divides and conquers. Before he could make any orders, he heard a dark chuckle which brought chills to everyone. What? Thought Silver in shock. Looking at the frozen form of Naruto, he saw a black aura pouring off of his body. The power that's coming off of his body is quickly melting his ice, which is scaring him since Ice Devil ice isn't supposed to ever melt. You guys are perfect for my guild, shouted Naruto gleefully, now free from his ice prison and back in his human form. He was jumping around like a child filled with sugar. Growling in annoyance, Mardgeir used his thorn curse to make rose thorns shoot out of the ground and go towards Naruto in hopes of impaling him. Seeing the attack coming, Naruto lifted his left hand up and made a wall of dark magic appear in front of him. When the thorns made contact with the wall, they quickly died and started to rot away. What? He has the same power as Master? Thought Mardgeir in more shock than he could possibly handle. However, his eyes then became cold as ice. There's two of you who don't belong. Naruto then pointed his hand towards Franmoth. Crap! He shouted, jumping back to get ready for the attack. A black orb appeared in Naruto's palm just like before, but instead of throwing it like last time, he shot it out like a large laser. The blast was as wide as 4 people standing beside each other, and 2 grown men standing on top of each other. The short, round demon didn't even get a chance to scream in pain because the dark energy destroyed every particle of his body, not even sparing the dust. Naruto's spell went through all the walls of the building, 10 rooms away. Wait a minute, what is that? Asked Cobra out loud. Just like everyone else was ordered, he and the rest of the former dark mages spread out in order to destroy the guild. He was on the top floor finishing off a group to Tartaros members until he stopped when he heard a noise. Listening in, his eyes widened. Shit! He then jumped away just in time because a large amount of dark magic shot through the walls and into the mountain nearby, making a large crater. Looking at the destruction made from one of his new master's spell, he could honestly say, fucking amazing. Cubelios nodded her head in agreement. With Naruto. What power? Thought all the alive or half-conscious demons watching the spectacle. Now then, one more, he said, looking towards the skeleton monk. Seeing where he was looking at, Silver made a move to freeze Naruto in place but never got the chance because a black orb shot out towards him. Just dodging the ball, he turned around in time to see Naruto cleanly punching a hole into the skeleton demon's body. Now die, said Naruto almost demonically. He raised his eyebrows when he heard the skeleton demon chuckle. No, you die. It roared and then popped into poisonous magic particles which surrounded Naruto's form. There's no way he can survive that. There isn't a human alive that can take in magic particles and not die from it, thought Mardgeir, smirking. However, his smirk disappeared when a yellow blur went past him and kicked Silver into the chest, making him shoot past several walls and land on the ground in a heap. Silver slowly started to get up and was on his knees but was quickly placed down by Naruto's QB-enhanced Rasengan to his back. Standing up to his own height, he looked back towards the battered holes and saw the fuming face of the Underworld King. You scum! What gives you the right to come in here and cause so much trouble? Well then, it's about time that you humans are shown your place by your betters, shouted Mardgeir in anger. His body then started to change into his Aetherius form. His body turned more muscular, and his skin darkens, gains the ragged pattern of his cloak. He gains long dark horns on his forehead, sharp razor teeth retains his ponytail. His hands become claws and his ears turn elf-like. He gets large bat-like wings that are dark and light in color. Feathers also show out his wrist and collar. All in all, he looked menacing. Looking at the powerful demon in front of him, Naruto couldn't help but smirk, thinking that he will have a good fight with the demon. Let's dance then, yelled Naruto in excitement. He quickly changed into his QB mode and disappeared in a blur, while at the same time, Mardgeir disappeared as well. Next thing that happened, a large gust of wind blew upwards, destroying the ceiling of the meeting room, while at the exact same time 2 blurs shot through the air, one a bright golden yellow, and the other a pitch black color. The 2 blurs would go through the air at blinding speeds and would occasionally collide with each other, making a large shock wave, making the entire building shake. Both colored blurs then collided with each other and fell straight down into the courtyard outside the base. Standing a couple of feet from each other, Mardgeir and Naruto. Both were supporting bruises on their body, but Naruto's was healing thanks to his tenant's chakra. Mardgeir had no words to express what is happening. All he can think of right now is to destroy the human in front of him so he can get back to the plans of finding his master. Memento Mori. Naruto noticed a black mist appearing out of nowhere and surrounding himself. Feeling the power of the attack being used, he quickly formed 9 chakra tails and covered himself in them, making himself into a powerful defense. Next thing that happened was a large dark beam shooting upwards into the sky and making the clouds depart from the power being used. After 5 minutes of using his ultimate curse, Mardgeir finally stopped it, and saw what he was hoping for nothing. Seeing the pest gone for good, he started to laugh almost insane-like. Ha 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 horgahork. He was interrupted when a kick to his stomach shot him a couple of miles away from where he once stood. Finally slowing himself down, he looked up in time to see Naruto kick his chin upwards, making go high into the air. Just like what he did to Tempest, he blurred hundreds of times around Mardgeir, inflicting wounds on him left and right. He then appeared in front of the hurt, and still ascending demon, and kicked him even higher. He then disappeared again, and appeared just over his head. Naruto formed 2 large chakra arms, slammed them downwards on Mardgeir's face, making him shoot down fast. Mardgeir was able to spread out his bat-like wings in time before he could slam into the earth. Flying away, he was enraged at the fact that human was able to survive against the spell that was supposed to be able to finally give his master's wish. Death, what are you? He shouted. He then screamed in agony and fell onto the earth. Looking down towards his left arm, he noticed how it was there anymore but a stump and some dark smoke coming out of the wound. Looking towards Naruto, he saw said blonde having his hand raised aiming towards himself. Naruto looked at Mardgeir with a cold expression, making said demon sweat until Naruto grinned, confusing the underworld king, a friend. Just then Naruto formed the Kyuubi, but in a see-through version. It stood up, making Tartaros' base seem small in comparison. All 9 tails lazily swinging around while the head stared down at the sacred form of Mardgeir. Chuckling, the Kyuubi brought out its 9 tails towards Mardgeir, making the said demon fly off in order to dodge, but he wasn't fast enough because all 9 tails formed around him in a dome, while the only thing he could see was the head of the Kyuubi. Opening its jaw, the 9-tailed demon started to gather large amounts of chakra into its jaw, forming a tailed beast bomb. After making a 4-storied size building bomb, it then ate it. Seeing the attack coming, he formed a large net of roots in order to block the ball he's gonna shoot, and hopefully shoot it back, but it wasn't the ball Naruto was shooting out. Baijidama, tailed beast bomb, shouted Naruto and Kurama at the same time, shooting a massive beam of pure chakra towards the surprised demon. Mardgeir's roots were easily destroyed, and he screamed in agony from the attack. Because they were on the cube, the attack didn't damage any land structures, so it just shot through the sky harmlessly, but did give a few people heart attacks from the light in the sky. When the attack died down, Naruto left his Kyuubi state and walked along the large trench he had made. He stopped in front of the prone demon, who reformed back into his human form but still had lost the unconscious demon. He then disappeared in a purple portal which formed into the ground. Meeting room. Heh, anyone still alive? Asked the still in pain jackal. Hearing someone breathing confirmed his suspicions. I'm here, said Tempest, slowly sitting up while holding on to his injured arm. Looking around, they noticed Silver slowly walking towards them while holding on to his stomach in pain. Damn, that kid has a good punch, chuckled Silver, but winced when he felt pain from his laughing. Is this everyone? Turning towards the voice, the men saw Kyoka leaning against Zelaya, who was happy to oblige. Jackal grunted when she asked. No, it isn't. Ezel, Franmoth and Torafuser are dead from what I saw, and Canes ran off like a little bitch, he told them, folding his arms. Looking pissed. Coward, muttered Tempest. Looking around, Kyoka noticed the absence of Naruto and the Underworld King. Where are they? Silver hummed, making a thinking pose. Just then a large explosion was heard, making the building shake uncontrollably. When it stopped, they saw a figure coming down through the hole in the roof. Thinking that it was Mardgeir, everyone smirked, thinking that he was finally able to get rid of the pest, but their eyes bulged out of their sockets when they saw the strongest of them all being carried on Naruto's shoulder. No way, they all thought, not able to say anything due to fear and shock. Dropping Mardgeir on the ground, Naruto made a few stretching movements so he could get some of those pains out of his body. Damn, that was a good fight. You gotta be the second toughest person I have ever fought. Under my big brother, of course, grinned Naruto, making some of the 9 demons' sweat drop from his attitude. They all heard something hit the floor behind them, and saw Canes tied up and bruised. Behind him is the former Oration Cease plus JLL standing there with big grins on their faces. Job well done, master, told Racer with a smirk. Nodding his head, he sensed something arriving which made Naruto smile. So I guess he was successful, he thought with a grin. What the hell do you want? Shouted Jackal, not knowing what to do in such a situation. Smiling at Jackal, not caring about the demon's poor attitude, he just pointed at the chair that Mardgeir once sat on. Looking towards the chair, all the demons were shocked beyond measure. Even losing to a human didn't surprise them that much as what they are seeing now. In front of them, holding onto the book of END, was none other than their master. Zeref. Hello again, my little demon, smiled Zeref. Everyone was gaping except for Naruto, the former Oration Cease members, and JLL, who already seen him. Master? Stutters Kyoka, mouth agape. Nodding his head, all the living 9 demons quickly bowed their heads and went on their knees, not caring about their injuries. Even the now awake Mardgeir was kneeling down, not caring about his missing arm. Master. We are honored to be in your presence, they all said at the same time. Naruto cocked an eyebrow at them. At first they were the most confident of demons who didn't seem to bow to everyone, but they are bowing to Zeref with the utmost loyalty. Smiling at the thought, Naruto listened in on the conversation. Yes, it's been a while since I've met you all, and I am pleased with the progress you have made with each other in skill and power, commented Zeref, getting smiles from the demons. Thank you, my lord, for such kindness. We are all grateful. For return of your compliment we should give you your final wish, stated Mardgeir, looking towards his master. Raising an eyebrow at his words he asked, and what is my final wish, Mardgeir? Asked Zeref, getting a confused look from said demon. For death, is it not? Realizing what he meant, Zeref chuckled at the demon in front of him, making the said demon even more confused. Yes, that was once my wish, but not anymore. How could I die when I still got to take care of my little brother here who definitely can't be on his own, smirked Zeref, getting a glare from said blonde. I resent that. Good, smiled Zeref, getting a sweat drop from everyone in the room. Be brother, stuttered Scylla. Yes, young one. Naruto Uzumaki is my adoptive brother, so I hope you treat him well, said Zeref, getting a of course sir from everyone but Mardgeir, who looked at his master as if he was insane. But master, he is a human. Why would you socialize with that? He could finish his sentence because of the sense of death pouring out of both Naruto and Zeref, making it hard for the occupants to breathe. What was that you were saying about my little brother? Warned Zeref. And nothing, master, said Mardgeir, sweating. Good. Now then. I am joining and cooperating with my brother's guild he is forming. I'm sure you won't have any objections, asked Zeref. Since it was their own master asking them, then they couldn't deny him, even though demons joining a light guild was beyond crazy. Looking at his brother, Naruto asked, so how did your mission go, bro? Asked Naruto. Went surprisingly well. Only person I had to kill was Hades. Everyone else joined once I told them of your plans, told Zeref, getting a smile of gratitude from his brother. That's good to know. So Grimoire Heart has joined as well. So that means we have the members of all the Balam Alliance for the guild. Do you have a name for it? Asked Zeref, looking at Naruto. Grinning, Naruto answered, True Heart. Afterwards Naruto had used his large fortune of the Namikaze and Uzumaki to purchase a large plot of land. He had then made a large magic seal and half his magic power to form his own city. The city will act like any other, and won't disappear unless Naruto doesn't fill its yearly amount of magic needed for it to stay up. He then got all members to join and live in the city. He had gotten over 5,000 members from all of the Balam Alliance to live in houses or apartment, while he had several members to run stores and carts in the shopping district. Naruto found it painful when the remaining 9 demons and Mardgeir refused to cooperate with the humans, but after a beating from Naruto and a quick lecture by Zeref they were able to talk and be friendly with each other. There was some problems he had to handle though, trying to convince the council and register the guild as official, eliminating any members who were more out of control than others, dispelling the curse placed on Cubelios, who appeared to be a young girl around Cobra's age. Naruto still laughed at what happened after he released the curse. Cubelios' actual name is Kinana, and when she was released she was nude and had to be quickly covered up. Naruto remembers the blush Cobra had when he saw her naked, well-toned body. When she woke up, Kinana seemed confused at first until she saw Cobra. Smiling, she had jumped and tied her arms over Cobra's neck, much to his embarrassment. Since then she would always hang out with Cobra no matter what. Everyone has already made bets on when the two would hook up, but of course Cobra knew because of his supersonic hearing. It took a lot of people to control the embarrassed and pissed Dragon Slayer. Naruto also had to fix the problem with Keys and Silver. He knows that Silver was only alive because Keys used his necromancy to revive the Ice Devil Slayer. After 3 grueling months of studying, Naruto was able to form a seal which would keep Silver alive while Canes dies, because Naruto definitely wasn't gonna keep the whack job alive. All Naruto had to do was copy the seal he had made for Zeref so he could control his powers and reroute it, so instead of holding in his powers, Silver's soul is held in his body. After fixing the seal and double-checking it, he was able to attach Silver's soul so he couldn't die. Silver couldn't have been more happy. He states that Naruto has given him a second chance in life and gave him an opportunity to find and meet his son. Naruto thanked him for his words and promised that if he ever got word from his son then he would inform Silver. Silver thanked him for his kindness and promised his loyalty to the guild and his 2 new masters. Altair was another problem he had to fix. She was too fixated on his brother, thinking that he will be able to bring the ultimate magic world so she could be able to go back in time and change her past. However, Naruto and Zeref knew that was impossible, and that no such magic exists no matter what. They kept trying to explain to her about it, but she wouldn't have it known. Naruto could only do one thing. Bringing Altair to Galuna Island, he gathered large amounts of water from the sea which had mixed with the water from the melted ice UR had become, mixing his most powerful seals and using the life magic that his brother taught him. He had revived Altair's mother from the dead, much to both Ice Wizard's shock and Naruto's embarrassment seeing that UR was fully naked. After clothing her, he had placed a large paralyzing seal on the ground so that both women could talk. Altair didn't want to hear her mother's words since she thought that they were just excuses, but UR wouldn't give in. Eventually UR explained to Altair all about how she was lied to by Brain when he said that Altair had died. Understanding each other, Naruto smiled when he sees both mother and daughter hug. Since then UR joined the guild in order for her to make up for lost time and Altair become more laid back and friendly towards others. However, she seemed more friendly to Naruto, much to the boy's confusions and others' joy of seeing how stupid he could be when it came to women. Even Jackal and Zankro laughed at his stupidity, which made it pretty sad. Naruto was also able to help Jalal with his guilt when he went to the site of the R system. After hours of searching, he finally came across the body of Simon, who he had revived just like UR. Jalal was shocked at what he had done and a bit scared when he was running away from Simon comically. After calming both of them down, Naruto was able to make them talk with each other, and after an explanation from Altair, Simon forgave Jalal for what he had done but promised to kill him if Jalal didn't apologize to Erza. Since then Jalal became very loyal to Naruto. Another thing that happened was when Naruto was making a notice about his new guild to every city. Naruto ran into a beautiful redhead with very long hair. After apologizing to her, they both had lunch together. Naruto noted how Flare was very shy. He asked her about herself, and was awed when she told him that she came from a village filled with giants. She explained about her village's guardian, and how this was the first time that she had traveled to a land where everyone is around the same size as her. Naruto understood about how she was scared about being in a new part of the world and decided to help her. He asked if she would like to join his guild. After thinking about it, she agreed since she didn't know anything about the world and that he seemed like a nice guy. When getting to the guild hall, she became shy towards the loud guild but quickly opened up to their antics. Naruto was glad that he could help her, and he knew that she was gonna be strong because of her hair magic. However, Naruto did sometimes get chills down his spine at times when traveling alone. Sometimes when he turns around he can see a red blur go past the corner, as if somebody was watching him, and then left in a hurry. Mirti was another problem. Her personality needed a makeover because Naruto sometimes thinks that she's a robot from the way she acts and talks. So after a couple of weeks with hanging with himself, Mirti had gotten a lot better. She is able to talk, joke, play, laugh, etc. just like everybody else. She even took an interest in pranking, much to Naruto's joy and everyone else's disdain. He always wanted a partner in crime, but unknown to him, Mirti had blushed when he said he wanted her as a partner. Naruto had also upped everyone's training. Even the demons, much to their shout and chagrins, but quickly quieted down when Zeref made a glare. It was a mean-looking glare. He made sure that everyone was gone up several levels when he was done with them. A whole year and a half he spends making all members strong, not just the powerful ones but the other 5,000 wizards that joined from Grimoire Heart and Tartaros. Only reason he could do that was because of the multi-shadow clone technique he had learned from the Scroll of Sealing. After the training was done, Naruto could honestly say that everybody surpassed his expectations. Out of all of them, Naruto's toughest challenge was finding a magic that could suit Angel, since she has lost her spirit keys when she was arrested, so as a gift for her birthday, he had taught her angel magic, much to her joy. She even squeezed himself between her cleavage, but he knew that she was only happy because of his gift, not knowing that she had done it on purpose. Flashback end. Naruto sighs seeing the fighting his war had made by themselves. Since they have all become an official guild, they have been given plenty of jobs from various parts of the country. Even some from foreign countries send job requests. That is how famous his guild is, even though the guild doesn't appear in the Grand Magic Games, much to everyone's disappointment. When asked why, he only said 3 words: "It's not time." Of course nobody knows about his big brother, since he is wanted by the Magic Council because of his power. Naruto sang a heavenly voice from behind him, and also feeling somebody hugging his back. Turning his head over his shoulder, he sees Angel with all her beauty. She has chosen a similar attire from what she had on a few years ago, and also grown her hair out, clothes and hairstyle during 7-year skip. Everyone else will go through the same thing except for most of Tartaros and Grimoire Heart. "Naruto, why do you have to do your stupid paperwork? You never play with me anymore," purred Angel, making sure she was pushing her cleavage so he could feel it. Blushing a little from Angel's close contact, and the way she made herself sound sexy, Naruto replied, "Sorry about that, but with all these fools all here, it's hard not getting complaints from the council." Giggling from her master's suffering, she scowled when she saw Altair running towards her. Naruto. Altair had moved fast and quickly jumped in the air before anybody asked and had landed in front of Naruto. Seeing Altair's descending body, Naruto had automatically caught her while not realizing that he had caught her in a bride-style position. "Hello, Naruto. How about you come over to my place later tonight, and I can give you that special oil rub down that I promised you," whispered Altair seductively in his ear, making Naruto blush and Angel scowl to deepen even more since she heard her. "Get off him, you skank. He doesn't want that from someone as ugly as you," mocked Angel. "What was that?" shouted Altair in anger, getting out of Naruto's arms and pressing her forehead against Angel's, who was doing the same thing. "You heard me. Calm down and play nice," said Naruto, raising his hands, but stopped when long red hair tied around both women and lifted them up into the air. Looking at the source of the hair, he smiled, seeing Flare around the corner. "Hey Flare. Thank you for calming them down," thanked Naruto while pointing at both pouting girls. "It's alright, Naruto-sama." Just then swords made out of light sliced off the hair, holding on to Altair and Angel. "What do you mean, Naruto-sama? I'm the only person to call him that, and don't forget it," raged Mirti. Just like Angel, she had grown up very well. Her hair had grown long, and so had her breasts, which went from a low B cup to a large C, and she isn't afraid to show if it involves her. Naruto getting a look. "Ah, my beautiful hair. What have you done?" she shouted, getting into Mirti's face. Naruto, seeing another bickering pair, decided to distract himself somehow. Why couldn't they all get along? Even Kyoka and Mardgear are having a better time hanging out with the others, and they are both very anti-human demons. "Want me to brush your hair, Flare?" asked Naruto, who sweated a bit seeing the stars in her eyes. "You would do that? I knew you were such a great master. Now follow me," she said, dragging Naruto by the hand. As they were walking away, Flare was getting 3 deadly glares coming from behind her. Turning around, Flare stuck her tongue out towards the 3 angered female wizards, angering them even more. That bitch! They all thought/shouted. Chuckling at his brother's stupidity in a love life, Zeref saw one member walking towards him while holding a letter. Zeref-sama. An invitation has been sent here for your and Master Naruto's eyes only. Who sent it? The Hidden Leaf Village. Chapter 3. True Heart. Excuse me? I don't think I heard you right. Did you just say that the Hidden Leaf Village was the ones who sent this? Asked Zeref, eye twitching from the memories that he remembers from that god-awful village. Yes, sir. The very same, told the messenger with a bow. Sighing, Zeref told the messenger to leave, and when he did, Zeref stared at the letter intently. What do those scum want? They can't possibly have found out about Naruto yet, could they? He's halfway across the planet, so they couldn't have possibly found us out. However, he let that thought linger in his head until he walked up the steps to the 2nd floor. Climbing up, he saw his little brother standing behind the sitting Flare while stroking the hairbrush down her red hair, and by the smile on her face she was enjoying herself. Flare was sitting on a forest green couch with soft pillows lying at both ends of it while situated in the lounge room, and was in front of a strong fire warming them up. It looked like such a lovely scene, but he had to talk to Naruto immediately. Naruto, he called out. Turning around, Naruto saw the serious expression that his big brother had and knew that something serious was going on, while at the same time Flare was pouting cutely at the loss of attention from her favorite blonde. Sorry Flare-chan, but I need to have a talk with big bro, apologized Naruto, not seeing the blush Flare had from him, saying Chan. Smiling, she nodded her head, signaling that it was alright. It's alright, but you owe me another brush down, said Flare, glaring playfully at Naruto, who chuckled. Of course. Standing up, Flare bowed her head to Zeref and then walked downstairs towards the main hall. When she left, the smile on Naruto's face was gone, and instead a look of seriousness. So what happened? Not answering, Zeref just pulled out the letter and gave it to himself. It's from them, Zeref said the last part in great disdain. Knowing who he meant, Naruto's eyes narrowed. Throughout the years he had stayed with Zeref, Naruto has thought over everything about the Hidden Leaf. From what he has been told, Kurama had been brainwashed by an Uchiha to attack the Hidden Leaf, which meant that it wasn't fully Kuruma's fault for what he did, but not wasn't what truly angered him. It was the Leaf Village's stupidity. They all believed in his father and his skill at sealing, but when it came to himself and the QB, they all suddenly lose their faith in the 4th Hokage and start making his own life a living hell just because of their own fear and idiocy. He can't even believe what he found out about the old man. During his entire life he had asked him if he knew anything about his parents, and the old Hokage had the nerve to lie to him. He even told his own godmother that he had died just because she might have taken him out of the village. Naruto can forgive Tsunade because she doesn't even know that he's alive, but Jiraiya is a different story. That bastard couldn't spare a single moment for Naruto even once through his life. Both of those old fools has lost Naruto's trust once he read the file that was hidden in the Hokage's safe. It was because of a few people he cared about that he didn't burn that village into the ground. Wouldn't be too hard since he had power that easily surpassed the Kages. Zeref was definitely one for destroying the village, and so is everyone else since they were told about what happened during Naruto's past. Ever since Naruto and Zeref have gathered all of the Balam Alliance together into a light guild, they have all grown in attachment towards each other, even if some of the proudest and stubborn of them deny the charges. Examples are Asuma, Blue Note, and Jackal. So when they heard about what that village has done to Naruto, they were all up in arms to destroy the village, but Naruto had always calmed them down, but secretly enjoyed how they wanted to do it for his sake. Looking down at the letter with the leaf symbol on it, what felt like hours but was actually 5 minutes, he decided to open it. Taking out the letter, he read it over and his eyes widened. To double-check, he reread it just in case he was seeing things. Turning around and walking to his office, he shouted, "There's going to be a meeting in 15 minutes, and shuts the door for his office. Knowing something was going on, Zeref walked downstairs to spread the news while behind the door Naruto was grinning like a madman. This is just perfect, he thought giddily. 15 minutes later, around half the guild was standing up and looking towards the stage waiting for Naruto to arrive. Anybody know what's going on? Yawned Silver with his carefree attitude. Who the hell knows, said Zankro with his arms folded. I just came back from a mission and now I hear that there's an announcement. Sighs, and here I thought that I could take a nap, sighed Midnight, twirling the small braided lock that hangs off the left side of his face. Walking onto the stage was none other than Naruto, holding grin on his face, which scared a lot of people in the crowd knowing what that grin held for his targets. Pain and suffering. Hello, sang Naruto in a cheery voice. This scared most people in the room since he never acts that happy. He may smile and laugh like everyone else, but now it seems that he was walking on a rainbow. Damn it, now that scary thought racer with a shiver going through his body. I'm so turned on right now. If it wasn't for the crowd, then I'd make him mine right now, thought Altair with a lust-filled look, loving the way Naruto can look scary even while smiling, and she wasn't the only one thinking the exact same thing. I called you all here because I have just been sent a message from none other than the Hidden Leaf Village, grinned Naruto. Everyone took a confused look. Last time they all checked, Naruto has a bad relationship with that village, so why would he be in a happy mood? Secondly, why would the village even send them a letter unless they figured out Naruto was with them? But they have doubts with that since they are at the other side of the country. While everyone was thinking that there was one member remembering about his last mission in the elemental countries, Konoha? Does that have something to do with my last job? Thought Midnight. Flashback, 1 week ago, Midnight had just taken a mission from a client in Wave Country. Why did he take a mission at the other side of the world? Reason being is because he was half asleep when he chose the job. Ever since he joined Naruto he hasn't ever gotten a nightmare during his sleep, so he has taken every chance to take a nap whenever he has free time, and unfortunately he had woken up still groggy when he chose the mission. It wasn't until he was halfway towards the port that he was fully awake. A lot of people blushed like mad when they heard himself swear like a sailor. So right now he was standing at the front of a boat heading towards Wave Country. From what the job request says, he has to defend a bridge builder from any assassins that want him dead. It also told him how he will have to cooperate with some shinobi that they would have hired for extra security. Just great. He never liked partnering with people he doesn't even know, and doing it in foreign lands doesn't help his mind. Seeing the land coming into view, he went back to his bags and got ready for departure. When getting off the boat he noticed how badly the town was. The buildings looked to be in bad shape and the people no better. From what Midnight saw he could see the men and women were malnourished, and had looks of sadness and hopelessness, while children were begging on the streets for food and money. Walking through the town towards his client's house he sees 3 bandits crowding around a woman, and to his surprise nobody was helping her. Who or what could make these people so weak and scared? He thought, seeing the frightened looks that people were giving the bandits. He narrowed his eyes when the men grabbed the woman by her arms and started to pull her towards an alley while everyone ignored her shouts and pleas for help. Midnight growled when he sees this. Ever since he joined True Heart he has learned much under Naruto's guidance, and one of the things he and everyone else in the guild despises is rape. Walking towards the 3 bandits he placed his hand on one of their shoulders. "Leave now before you get hurt," threatened Midnight. People seeing this gasped at the man. Nobody ever defies Gato's men and lives to tell the tale. "Who the hell are you? You best leave, pretty boy, or you'll be in a world of pain," threatened one of the bandits holding his sword up. The woman who was being dragged away looked up at Midnight with hope in her eyes. Narrowing his eyes at the 3 men he decides that enough is enough, and it's about time they are taught a lesson. So be it. Using the hold he had on the bandit's shoulder he had jumped up and kicked another bandit in the temple, knocking him out in a second. Both men widened their eyes seeing their friend been beaten in less than a second, and they both went to attack Midnight, who took a step back away from the men. "Die!" One shouted, slashing downwards at Midnight, who sidestepped and punched him on his left side, thus breaking his jaw. The man collapsed onto a heap beside the shocked woman, while she continued to watch her hero beat the man who was about to rape herself. Another man went to cut Midnight but was shocked when his sword didn't hit Midnight. What? But he didn't get to finish his thoughts because Midnight has started to beat him into a living pulp. Punching him into a wall, Midnight grabbed the man's collar and started to punch back and forth at the man, making teeth shoot out his mouth and cuts to form on his face. After the beating was done, Midnight smirked seeing the damage done and was satisfied with it. Dropping the bloody heap he walked towards the shocked woman and helped her up. Smiling towards her, making her blush from his handsome face, he stalked off towards his client's house until he heard a dry chuckle from behind him. Turning around he sees the bloodied man laughing, making him raise an eyebrow. "Kukukuku, you have no idea who you're messing with. Gato will hear of this, and when he does you will pay," laughed the man, ignoring the pain from his face. Hearing the threat, Midnight suddenly disappeared from view and appeared in front of the surprised bloody bandit. He then raised his right leg and kicked the man in his throat with a powerful straight kick, making the man choke since his windpipe has just been clogged. "Then let him come and we'll see who pays," said Midnight with cold eyes. Using his reflector magic he refracted the sunlight, making Midnight disappear from view. He then appeared in front of the client's home. Looking around he noticed how they lived away from the town. Walking up to the door, he knocked on it twice and didn't have to wait long till a woman with long black hair answered. "Oh, hello, how may I help you?" asked the woman. "I'm from True Heart. I answered your job request." "Oh, thank you for this. I'm the one who hired you. My name is Tsunami. My father hired some ninjas from the Hidden Leaf, but I thought that we needed more muscle to handle," Gato told Tsunami with a frown, thinking about the current situation that her village is in because of that tyrant. "It's alright. As long as they don't get in my way, then it's all good," he said, hearing a scoff. Walking into the house with Tsunami, Midnight sees 3 young people who seem to be around Naruto's age, and also a man with white gravity-defying hair. The man wore a green vest with a blue long-sleeved shirt, and had black A&BU pants. By the look of the crutch beside him, the man was injured. His most notable feature was the mask covering his face and the headband covering his right eye. He inwardly growled when he saw the symbol on the headband. Leave. He saw a pale-skinned boy wearing a black short-sleeved shirt with black A&BU pants, and had tape tied around his left leg. On his face was the fakest smile Midnight has ever seen, and knew that something was off with the young man. Looking at the only female at the team, he frowned when he noticed the love hearts in her eyes when she was looking at the glooming emo of the team. She long pink hair which reached down to her lower back and was wearing tight dark green shorts that stopped over her knees. She has a red chipao dress with white circular designs which also has short sleeves. The person she was staring at was a duck-haired boy wearing a blue shirt with a high collar and black shorts. On the back of the collar was a symbol he didn't know of, but it consisted of a white and red fan. From what Midnight could tell, the 17-year-old was moody because of the pissed look he has. Everyone he will be helping you on the mission, said Tsunami, introducing Midnight. She then blushed in embarrassment when she remembered that she hasn't even heard his name. I'm sorry I didn't catch your name, it's Midnight. She just nodded her head since she knows that some people would be given code names. Everyone had their own different reactions of Midnight. Sasuke scoffed and continued to eat his breakfast. Sakura squealed, shouting out how Sasuke is so cool. Sai just continued to give his fake smile. Kakashi looked up from his orange book and analyzed the person in front of him. Strange clothes, hairstyle, and I can't sense any chakra from him, but there's something about him that just makes me worry, thought Kakashi while making an eye smile. Hello there. We were never told about somebody helping us, but it's nice to meet you, said Kakashi, showing his hand for a handshake. Midnight stared at the offered hand with a judging look until he raised his own hand to shake. Just then he narrowed his eyes towards the Uchiha, who scoffed. Something to say to me? Asked Midnight in a threatening tone. We don't need your help. I'm an Uchiha, so I can handle this mission on my own, so stay out of my way. Smirking, Midnight went towards the couch and sat down, making Sasuke growl since he was just ignored. Are you hungry? If you want, then I can make you something, asked Tsunami with a smile. Taking a sideways glance towards her direction, Tsunami took an involuntary step back when she saw Midnight's eyes. Kakashi took note as well. Does eyes speak experience and power, thought Kakashi. No thank you, said Midnight, closing his eyes. Nodding her head, Tsunami quickly left the room, not wanting to be staying in the same room with the cold man. Kakashi was wondering about the origins of Midnight and started to ask Midnight questions. So Midnight, where do you come from? Looking towards Kakashi, he answered, Fiori. Kakashi thought back and remembered that there is a country at the other side of the world called Fiori. It's said to have many traditions and that they don't use jutsu, but something else he doesn't know. Not satisfied with the information, he continued with the silent interrogation. I hear that you are in a guild. Could you explain what that is? He asked with his eye smile still plastered on his face. I see, so he wants information, thought Midnight, inwardly smirking. A guild is what you would call a group of people with special abilities that would join and do missions that would be given by some of the public. I see, so it's like how shinobi get jobs from other countries' people and nobles, thought Kakashi. There are different rankings in each guild. There is normal ranking for everyone who joins the guild. Then there's S-class. They are the strongest, join the guild and are gone through hard tests in order to get the rank. Sasuke brought his attention to the conversation when he heard that powerful people were in that guild. Oh really? Then who would be in charge of the guild? Asked Kakashi. We have what you call a master, who is the strongest out of everybody. He leads and teaches everyone in the guild, however ours is special. We have 2 masters in our guild, told Midnight, finishing with his talk, not wanting to let any other information out. 2 masters who are stronger than everyone in the guild? They must be some powerful fighters, thought Kakashi. If those masters could teach me, then I would gain more power than Itachi and finally get my clan's justice, thought Sasuke with a smirk. 2 powerful people as strong as a Kage? Danzo-sama will need to hear this, thought Sai, outwardly still smiling. So if you wouldn't mind me asking, what rank are you? Asked Kakashi, wanting to know how strong his new ally is. Narrowing his eyes towards Kakashi, he chose that enough was said. That is none of your business. Now that my interrogation is done, how about I give you yours and tell me what I am dealing with, told Midnight. Inwardly sighing at not getting more info, Kakashi still decided to tell the Hokage about it and look up their guild. Yes, we are dealing with Zabuza from the Hidden Mist. He is a A-class threat who shouldn't be taken lightly. He also has an accomplice which we don't know anything about. During the fight I had with him, I know that he won't be ready for one more day, which by then I will be ready for him, said Kakashi. Midnight eyes fell half closed when he heard the information. A-class threat and an unknown, huh? That sounds boring, thought Midnight. Whatever, I'm taking a nap. Don't wake me. And before anyone had a chance to respond, he had already fallen asleep and was lightly snoring. Well, something, thought Kakashi with a sweat drop. One day later, Midnight woke up and startled when he heard a scream coming from the kitchen. He stood up and saw 2 men with swords dragging Tsunami out of the house while the little child named Inari was shouting and hitting the men on their legs. Now outside, the men kicked the child in the head, giving him a concussion. Inari! Shouted Tsunami in worry for her child. Boss did say that we had to take her alive, but he didn't say anything out having some fun with her, did he? Smirked one of the thugs. The other smirked as well, with his friend liking the idea, but he didn't get a chance to have fun with the woman since his head went flying off his body all of a sudden. What the? Shouted the lone thug with widened eyes. Seeing the girly-looking man there, he had dropped Tsunami and held up his sword towards Midnight. Smirking, Midnight called out his attack, which was the last thing the bandit ever heard again. Inbijibura Saisu, Invisible Scythe. The bandit's body was cut into several bloody pieces by an invisible force. Tsunami was shocked at what the man did but quickly forgot about it and ran towards her son. Checking him over, she sighed happily, seeing him breathing. Oh, thank God, sobbed Tsunami, hugging her sleeping son. Sensing something happening at the bridge, Midnight disappeared and reappeared at the start of the bridge. He sees Kakashi fighting who he guesses Zabuza, while Sakura was looking scared while guarding Tazuna. He raised his eyebrows when he saw a dome of ice, and from the cracks he could see Sai and Sasuke are being fine pincushions, which made him smirk. He then walked calmly into the mist which Zabuza had just made so he could fight Kakashi while hiding. Midnight waved his hand sideways while holding out his index finger so he could control his reflector magic and make it blow the mist away. When the mist was gone, it showed both Kakashi and Zabuza surprised at what happened. What? How did someone take away my mist? Thought Zabuza, gripping his Kubikyu Ribocho tightly while glaring at the intruder. Midnight? Maybe I can see his skill level now, thought Kakashi, wondering how strong he is and if he could be beneficial to the Hidden Leaf Village. Ever since his sensei died, he used all his skills and knowledge to help the village that his sensei protected, not caring if someone unimportant got hurt. He believes that the leaf should be given everything since his sensei died protecting it. So these guys are causing you leave Neen so much trouble. Chuckle. What was that? Zabuza said threateningly. The way he heard it was as if he was a mere child. This angered him to the point he ran forward in blinding speeds and went to cut the stranger in half. Midnight didn't move an inch, even though the large cleaver sword was an inch away from slicing himself in half. Zabuza's smirk turned into a look of shock and confusion when his sword seemed to have gone through his opponent, but then he saw a large gash on the floor. What did he do? That wasn't a ninjutsu, so maybe a genjutsu? Thought Kakashi in awe of Midnight's abilities. Zabuza tried and tried again, but his sword wasn't able to slice the man, but instead it was as if he was cutting around Midnight. What the hell is this? Fine, let's see you handle this. He shouted, making hand signs in amazing speeds. Suetun, Suryoden no Jutsu, Water Release, Water Dragon, he announced, and a large dragon made out of water shot upwards from the lake they were over, its glowing red eyes looking down at Midnight. All of a sudden it shot down towards Midnight in hopes of killing him. Midnight kept his smirk when seeing the dragon coming towards himself, but to everyone's watching shock and awe, the dragon just went around Midnight and crashed through the side of the bridge. What? How does he do that? He isn't using hand signs, thought Zabuza and Kakashi. It's time we end this, said Midnight more as a statement. He then raised his hand upward, shouting Super Pain, Spiral Pain. Zabuza, not seeing anything coming at him, then shouted in pain when he was shot into the air while spinning. Cuts suddenly appearing on his body. When he landed into the heap he was in, blood started to pour out of his wounds quickly, showing he has very little time left to live. Wada monster, thought Zabuza, taking his final breath. Zabuza-sama, shouted the masked hunter Neen in worry for his master. The masked shinobi formed hundreds of ice needles and shot them towards Midnight in order to skewer him, but Midnight used his Abitsutate, Distort Shield, to reflect the needle. Back to the producer, making said hunter shinobi gasp in shock and shouted in pain when all the needles went into his body and killed him instantly. The dome-holding Sai and Sasuke fell down into pieces and were all barely breathing. Sakura ran towards her Sasuke-kun so she could comfort him, even though Sasuke doesn't want her to. While at the same time Kakashi was in awe and lost for words. He just defeated Zabuza and the ice user like they were nothing, while we all had problems taking them on ourselves. If he were to join our village, then our credibility would be even larger than it could be, thought Kakashi while trying to make a plan on how he can get the stranger to join his village. Midnight, however, knew that he wasn't done, cause he looked towards the mist at the end of the bridge and saw his target in front of at least 100 bandits. I should have known that Zabuza couldn't get the job done. Oh well, less money spent, shrugged Gato with a smirk. When he looked up, he saw a green magic circle appears in front of Midnight. Daku Rondo, Dark Rondo, he said, and shot out several streams of dark magic which killed every bandit Gato had hired, including himself. Seeing that the job was done, Midnight walked away towards the house so he could get his payment and return home, while not seeing the look of shock everyone else had on their faces. One day later, it's been a day since Wave Country has been freed from Gato's reign. The citizens were quick to storm Gato's mansion and take back all the money they were cheated out of. Midnight was standing at the port, while sweat dropping at how many people were seeing him off, because they were all told by Tazuna on how he was the one who completely obliterated everyone standing in his way, to a certain Uchiha's annoyance. Sasuke wanted the man to teach him what he knew and from their master, but he was given orders from Kakashi that he has to return to his village. Sai made a note that he should tell Danzo about the Midnight character. Kakashi was inwardly fuming because he couldn't find a way for the man to come to the Leaf Village. He knows that he can't just knock him out and bring him back, because he would have been instantly killed since he destroyed somebody who himself had trouble with. Waving at the citizens and quickly disappearing, seeing a mob of fangirls forming, Midnight disappeared using his invisibility. Can't wait for some sleep. Flashback end. And now he sees that the village has come back to be a pain in the ass again. He listens to what his master is saying. What the hell do they want? Asked Sankro. Grinning Naruto answered the question. They have invited us to the Chunin exams, said Naruto. Knowing what the Chunin exams are for and seeing the grin on Naruto's face, everyone knew what he was planning. Well, everyone except Kane, who was eating a 7-scoop ice cream cone happily. So is it time to destroy that village, cause I'm all up for it, said Zoldio. Ever since Naruto freed Zoldio out of the spirit Capricorn's body, he had made a true allegiance towards Naruto. He, just like everyone else, believes that his problems are theirs since he had helped everyone with their own. True, it was a weird ragtag guild, but Naruto doesn't care because his guild will accept anybody no matter if they are humans, freaks or demons. Not exactly Zoldio. We are going to enter the Chunin exams and show all the nobles and daimyos who are watching that the Leaf Village isn't as strong as they say they are. And if we were all given new job requests by the nobles, then who are we to argue, told Naruto, shrugging. After thinking a bit about it, They all nodded at acceptance, and some grinned thinking about the damage that will be made. If the Leaf Village is made to look weak in front of all the nobles, then they will lose jobs and money, which will weaken the village. However, some of the smarter members had a question, and it was Asuma who asked, "Master, do explain exactly why we are invited to the Chunin exams, because we aren't shinobi, so we shouldn't be allowed to enter." That's true, however the Chunin exams are being held in the Hidden Leaf Village, so they are the ones making the rules. I'm guessing that Kakashi had told his Hokage about his encounter with Midnight, and either two things happened. Either he was told by the council to invite us, or he was curious, but I'm going to say it was most likely both. Asuma accepted the reasoning and allowed Naruto to continue. "Now that you all get it, I'm forming 2 teams to enter it. First team will be made out of Racer." The speed wizard grinned and was ready to show off his speed to the world. "Tempest," said Demon grunted in acknowledgement, which made Naruto shakes his head thinking that he should go out more. "Cobra." The Dragon Slayer smirked, thinking many ways that he could bring pain and fear to the village's occupants. "Second team will consist of Angel." She just smiled warmly towards Naruto, who smiled back in return. "Altair." The Time/Ice wizard grinned, thinking about how she could beat the village which harmed her Naruto. "And finally the last person will be myself." "Way out!" shouted everyone at shock. "Their master is gonna join the exams? Isn't there some sort of law that wouldn't allow you to join?" asked Salai annoyingly. "Well, there is, since a master would be declared as a Kage. However, we don't have only one master now, do we?" told Naruto. Realizing what he meant, they all thought it was pretty smart. A bit overkill, but smart nonetheless. "You do know that they are gonna make a huge fuss out of this when they see you," told Silver, grinning because he knows what Naruto is gonna say. "Fuck them. If they will try to force me into the damned village, then let them try, because I'll just have to destroy anyone in my way," told Naruto, making his left pupil turn black for a few seconds till it turned back into his sky blue eyes. "You are in Midnight, you both will act as our Jounin instructors, so you will have to come as well." "Right, boss," grinned UR, while Midnight nodded his head in agreement. "Okay, everybody that's coming should get everything ready and come to the gates at around 8 o'clock tomorrow. While we are gone, Mard Gear will be in charge," told Naruto, walking backstage with his brother. "Are you sure about this?" asked Zeref worriedly. "Of course I am. It's about time the village be shown that they aren't top dog." "Oh yeah, could you come as well since you need to play a role as master?" asked Naruto. "Of course. I wouldn't miss the embarrassment that the village will be getting," smirked Zeref. Naruto laughed playfully at Zeref's words, and soon Zeref joined him. A lot of people in the Hidden Leaf Village suddenly got chills down their spines. They all wondered what it was and had thought the same thing. "Felt like somebody just walked over my grave." Chapter 4. Best friends Izumo and Kotetsu were doing the worst job any Leaf Shinobi could do, and that was village gate guard duty. "This sucks," moaned Kotetsu while sitting beside his best friend Izumo, whose eye was twitching in annoyance. They both got sick of watching nothing, so they both decided to play a game of cards. "Oh, will you give it a rest?" yelled Izumo. He might not like guard duty as much as his friend, but at least he wasn't going to bitch about it. "But Izumo, nobody comes here unless they are for the Chunin exams, and that's starting tomorrow. Nobody is gonna come here so late." Sighing at his friend's childishness, he looked at the cards he had in his hand and placed them on the table. "Well, you best keep your wits up, because you never know if there's gonna be an enemy attack," told Izumo. "Yeah, whatever," muttered Kotetsu while placing down one of his cards. Izumo noticed how his friend's eyes suddenly darted towards the dirt road and followed his gaze. He saw 10 shadowed figures walking down the road towards them. "Looks like there are some applicants, after all," smirked Izumo, seeing his friend grunt, but both kept their guard up just in case they were enemies. "Naruto's group. Looks like we're here," said Naruto, looking towards the village gates. He was outwardly calm but inwardly growling at the thought of being in the Forsaken Village. However, he was able to calm himself with the thoughts of showing the village off with his own guild's power. The smirk was lost when he looked back at the 2 extra guests that came along. "Tell me again, why did you 2 tag along?" he asked, raising a brow at the redhead and bluehead. Both Flare and Kinana blushed in embarrassment, since both girls were seen following them. "Well, we wanted to see the hot springs in the village. I hear that they have one of the best springs in the elemental countries," lied Flare. Naruto accepted the answer, even though that he knew that it was a lie. He could make a very good guess why Kinana came, since Cobra was with him. This made him smirk, thinking how the two should just date and get it over with. Unknown to him, Cobra was thinking the exact same thing about him and Flare. Both Angel and Altair were glaring towards Flare and started thinking of many ways to torture her. Now that she was here, both of them had less of a chance to be alone with Naruto. They were at least grateful that Mirdi had a job to do. Flare had caught the glares and glared back at them with all her might. Everyone other than Naruto saw the glaring contest and either grinned or ignored it. "Could we move it now? You all know that I don't like it slow, so come on," shouted Racer, losing his patience. Yes, we're coming," replied Naruto, waving everyone to follow him. Everyone silently followed his lead except for Tempest, who grunted in recognition. Since he was at another country, he couldn't be in his normal form, since he was told by Naruto that everyone would freak out if they were to see a real demon, so he had to change into his human form. Tempest now appears as a handsome man with long shoulder-length blonde hair, dark skin and muscle-bound arms and chest. He also has sharp fingernails. He is wearing a black, sleeveless, collared shirt with a green slime-like highlights and a short green tie. He also wears matching straps tied around his forearms, black pants and shoes. All in all, he looked pretty good. They continued to walk until they were all standing in front of the booth which Izumo and Kotetsu were standing in. May I help you? Asked Izumo, looking at the group of strange and intimidating looking people. However, he can't remember where he has met the blonde before. Yes, we are here for the Chunin exams. We're from True Heart told you are. Izumo and Kotetsu eyes widened at that information. These were the people that apparently had some powerful players in their guild, and they both noticed that Midnight's appearance resembles the report they have read a couple of days ago. Oh yes. Welcome to the Hidden Leaf Village. We're glad that you were able to come. If you wouldn't mind, I would like you to tell me your names so I can write them down in our registration log, said Kotetsu, holding a pen and clipboard up. Nodding their heads, everyone walked up one by one to the front of the booth and told the guards their names, while Naruto stayed at the back of the group on purpose. I'm Yar, and I'm the Jounin sensei for these three, she said while pointing towards the ones behind her. It took both Izumo and Kotetsu's full willpower to not look and stare at her large chest, which seemed to be barely held back by her red tank top outfit when she fought Deliora. Racer, he smirked at the duo as he introduced himself. Izumo and Kotetsu were both weirded out at the man's appearance because of his long pointy nose, metal guard, and his black and red spandex outfit. Oh Kami, please, not another guy, they both thought while inwardly crying, thinking about Racer shouting about youth along with Guy and Lee. Tempest, grunted the dark-skinned demon. Both Chunin felt a shiver down their spines when they looked into the man's eyes. He has the eyes of a predator, thought Izumo, who was hoping that he was just imagining things. Cobra was all he said. Kotetsu noted how the man resembles that of a snake. Midnight walked up to both Chunin and gave them a lazy look. Midnight, and I'm this group's Jounin sensei, he said lazily. Both men deadpanned at the lipstick-wearing mage. Wonder if he's related to Inara? They both thought. Altair smiled. Altair. Both men noted how she was well endowed as well, and she seemed to have a resemblance of Ur. Maybe their mother and daughter, thought Kotetsu. Angel. The Chunin duo looked at each other wildly. She definitely looks the part, thought Izumo and Kotetsu at the same time while looking at Angel's clothes. Naruto walked up to the duo while both Chunin still didn't know where they recognized the blonde. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze at your service, said Naruto, mock bowing while grinning at the shock looks that Izumo and Kotetsu were giving him. Angel and Altair giggled at the scene being played in front of them. Why you're and Naruto? Stuttered Kotetsu while shakily pointing his right hand at Naruto, who was loving the look. The one and only, and these two here came to watch the exams, he said, pointing at Flare and Kinana. After both girls have been registered, the teams walked through the gates, while the Chunin guards had one thought in mind. Must inform the Hokage about this. Leaf Village. So this is the almighty Leaf Village. Color me unimpressed, said Cobra, stuffing his hands into his white-yellow fur-lined jacket while looking around. He doesn't see the big deal of the village. Okay everyone, the exams don't start until tomorrow, so I want Ur and Midnight to check us in into a hotel, said Naruto, waving his arms towards the pair. Both nodded and stalked off to find a hotel to stay in. While those two are finding us a hotel we can walk around and enjoy the sights, smiled Naruto. Tempest and Racer decided to walk off on their own while the rest went through the market district. As they were walking, they saw several shinobi from other countries walking around and doing their own thing. Naruto also noted how some people would look at his group strangely. Most likely because of our clothes, thought Naruto. As they looked around, Cobra walked closer to Naruto and whispered in his ear. You do know that we're being watched, right? Naruto just nodded his head knowingly. Ever since they walked through the gates, they have been watched by the ANBU. Naruto could sense them hiding in the shadows and in the alleyways. The Hokage must have been told of my sudden appearance. The group continued on their walk until Cobra and Kinana decided to split up from the group and do their own thing, much to everyone's teasing, calling it a date. A flustered Cobra and a blushing Kinana quickly left the group and decided to take a walk through the park that was nearby. Flare left as well so she could check out the foreign hair products in the shops and hopefully find something special. Angel and Altair tried to drag Naruto away to do shopping. Fearing the worst, which was an empty wallet he had quickly created and replaced himself with a clone, and disappeared, without the girls noticing. After escaping a faith was then death, Naruto walked through an alley and was looking around the area while remembering his life in the village. The glares, the neglect, the beatings, he remembers it all, and it all started with the village. It wasn't because Kuruma attacked the village or the masked man who claimed to be Madara Uchiha, and it wasn't even because of his father who had sealed the demon in his gut. It was the damned village. Their stupidity and fear has made Naruto's first 6 years in the world a living hell. It was his meeting with Zeref that saved his life from damnation by the village, and now he's gonna show the village what they missed out on. I regret nothing, thought Naruto, smiling warmly. His smile left his face quickly when a ANBU wearing a bird mask appeared in front of him. Naruto Uzumaki. You have been called for a meeting with the Hokage. No, I'm not going to have a meeting with the old Hokage, so make sure you tell him that, and leave me alone, says Naruto walking past the ANBU. The ANBU quickly turned around to grab Naruto by his right shoulder and grips it tightly to show superiority. I'm sorry, but it wasn't a request. And I'm no longer a child, whispered Naruto. He remembers this certain ANBU who had once joined a mob beating instead of stopping it, and now that Naruto is back he has a lot of debts that need to be paid and he's gonna collect one way or another. The ANBU gasped in shock and fear when Naruto's suddenly shadow grew in length and size, which covered the alley's entire floor. Before the ANBU could comprehend what was happening, a large demonic claw arisen from the ground underneath himself, while 6 black tendrils shot out around the claw, wiggling wildly. The ANBU wanted to run, he wanted to shun Shin away, but he couldn't because the fear was too much. He started to sweat bullets, and was gasping for breath while he tried to scream or at least make some sort of noise so he could alert somebody, but nothing came out of his mouth. Where is everyone? Why isn't somebody noticing this? Thought the ANBU fearfully. The dark blue claw had then grabbed hold of the paralyzed ANBU and dragged the shinobi down into the darkened floor. The ANBU suddenly realized what was happening to himself and started to struggle and get out of the grip of the demonic hand, but to no avail. He was able to free his hands from the claw and place them in a ram sign. Kai! He shouted, flaring his chakra while trying to release the genjutsu being placed on himself, but his fear grew tenfold when the claw and darkness was still there. What is this? He shouted. Naruto could hear the fear coming off of the ANBU, and he enjoyed it. He enjoyed how he can make this once strong, proud shinobi into a quivering mess, but pleasure always has to end sooner or later. Your demise. Now drown in a pool of darkness and fall in an endless slumber for all eternity, chanted Naruto while watching the ANBU sink into the floor. Nuh! Screamed the shinobi till he was silenced forever and had disappeared into the shadows. When the ANBU fully sank into the floor, the shadows shrank in size until they returned into Naruto's normal shadow. Naruto had a content smile on his face after that, and continued his walk down through the alley. They think that they can still pick on me, huh? Hee, they're gonna be getting a large disappointment. Hey, let me go. Hearing the shout coming from around the corner, Naruto walked towards the noise and raised his brow at the scene being played in front of him. He was watching a guy who had his entire face painted and was wearing a black outfit which made him look similar like a cat. The guy was gripping the scarf of a small child and looked ready to hit him. Naruto also saw a woman behind him who was wearing a black kimono with a red sash holding it all together. Her blonde hair was in a four-styled ponytail, and held a large fan which was held around her back. He also noted the pale kid who had a clear fake smile, and the pink hair banshee if her screams were anything to go by. Let him go, will you? He said he was sorry, screeched Sakura. Shut up. This is what he gets for hitting into me, glared Kankuro, who pulled back his fist to hit the scarf-wearing child. Kankuro, will you calm down? Remember, we need to meet up with Gaara and Baki at the hotel soon, warned Temari. Don't worry, sis. This won't take too long, grinned the puppeteer, who went for the punch but was stopped by Naruto, who grabbed his fist. I wouldn't do that if I was you, warned Naruto, who was gripping Kankuro's fist with his own hand. Where did he come from? Was the thought of everybody in the area. Kankuro winced when Naruto tightened his grip on Kankuro's hand, who immediately pulled back and jumped back beside his sister. Should have stayed out of it, but now it looks like I'm gonna have to show you not to mess with the sand puppeteers. Kankuro then pulled off the bandaged package that was on his back. Before anybody made a move, a voice was heard from the tree they were beside. Kankuro, that's enough, and both Kankuro and Temari froze just like that. Looking up, everyone saw a redhead standing on top of a branch. He has short, spiky red hair, and the word love inscribed into the left side of his forehead. The redhead jumped down between the sand shinobi and stared at the people in front of him emotionlessly. But Gaara, they. Shut up or I'll kill you, Gaara threatened. Kankuro was quick to shut up and took a couple steps back. Just then Sasuke jumped down from the tree he was hiding in. Who are you? Demanded Sasuke, looking at Gaara. He saw how both sand shinobi cowered in fear from the redhead, and knew that he had power if he could do that. Sasuke had always dreams of having people fear him for his power one day, and hopes that if he fights the redhead then he could get strong enough to finally kill Itachi. Gaara, however, ignored the Uchiha and stared at Naruto, who was starting to feel creeped out. Why do I feel so dirty? Thought Naruto, holding himself. You shall prove my existence, and I'll then give your blood to my mother. What is your name? Declared Gaara, pointing at Naruto, who sensed a large amount of demonic power inside the redhead. A Jinchuriki. Naruto then grinned, thinking about how the Chunin exams won't be as boring as it will be. It's Naruto. Well then, Naruto, I will be seeing you at the Chunin exams, hopefully. We're leaving, ordered Gaara, turning around with his siblings following close behind. Sasuke scowled at Gaara for ignoring him. Who was he to ignore him? He's Sasuke Uchiha, an elite. Wait a second, but Gaara had already sent Shunsen himself and his siblings away. The nerve of him to ignore Sasuke-kun, shouted Sakura. Sai decided go shut up and kept his eyes on Naruto, who had started to walk away from them. Nobody noticed the small child from before had already run off from the scene. Seeing nothing to do now, Naruto turned around to leave but heard somebody call him. Wait, you. Turning around, he raised a brow at the duck-haired Uchiha, who glared at him. Who are you? Demanded Sasuke. His answer was Naruto, turning around and walking away. Don't ignore Sasuke-kun, so answer him or else, screeched Sakura. Stopping himself, Naruto slowly turned around while looking towards the trio, and all three were shocked to see that his eyes had changed. Gone were the sky-blue eyes which someone could get lost into. Now there was a blood-red color, and his pupil had turned slitted similar to a fox, but what scared the trio was that his irises had turned from white to a pitch-black color. Naruto then narrowed his eyes towards the three genin, while releasing his magic power mixed with Kuruma's, which was plenty to scare to shit out of them all. Don Torter me around, told Naruto, emphasizing every word. Sakura took a couple of steps back in fear while Sasuke and Sai has a cold sweat going down their brows. Seeing that his message got across, Naruto disappeared in a poof of black smoke and ash. What was that? I felt so cold and those eyes, so my kami, those eyes felt like they pierced through me, thought Sakura, shivering while trying to forget the eyes she had seen. Her other two teammates had other thoughts on the person they just met. Danzo must be told of him. That kind of power must belong to Danzo-sama, thought Sai, who felt something which was never thought in the root program. Fear. What power? It was practically rolling off of him. I must find a way to take his power for myself, thought Sasuke greedily. If he could find some way to get the power off the mysterious blonde, then he knows that Itachi couldn't stand a chance against him. Fallen Tree Hotel lobby, 10 o'clock. Everyone was sitting down in the lobby that midnight, and UR had just booked them in and were talking about their plans for the exams. Cobra had informed the group about an invasion that he had heard when he read the mind of a sand shinobi earlier. Naruto then told everyone that he doesn't really care about the invasion since it doesn't directly involve himself, since he lost ties with the Leaf entirely. He had met and informed of the Ichirakus about his return, and were they ecstatic. Naruto told them about the city that he runs with his brother, and both decided to move the ramen shop over there, so Naruto helped them by making a few shadow clones so he could help them move everything. So how do you want to handle this? Will we use all our power or what? Asked Altair, who was eager to take down some Leaf shinobi. Chuckling, Naruto answered, I don't want you to use your full power, since that means we have won from the very beginning. I want you to play with all the Leaf shinobi like they used to play with me through my childhood, grinned Naruto, not noticing that his shadow was shaking as if it was excited for something. Everyone grinned at that except for Kinana, who was the only one who couldn't use magic in the guild, but Naruto didn't care about that since she is Cobra's partner. True and true. She was more of a peaceful person, which did get her mocked a lot in the guild, but that was quickly settled when either Naruto or Cobra pummeled the person who said. She did understand the pain that Naruto had to go through, since she herself was cursed to take the shape of a snake when she was barely 3, so she had no complaints about the Leaf village burning. Sometimes she thinks that Eric's sadistic side is rubbing off her, and she could say to whoever asked that she really didn't give a damn. What about if we were to fight a different shinobi from a different country? Asked Tempest, folding his arms together. Destroy them or not? I couldn't care much either way, said Naruto, waving off the question while showing his darker side for a moment. All unknowing but one that they were all being watched by the Hokage, Jiraiya and several jounin. Hokage office. Hiruzen and a group of jounin were crowded around his table while looking down at his crystal ball, which showed Naruto and his guildmates, while Jiraiya leaned against the wall, beside the window. So that's him, said Asuma, looking at Naruto. Yes. That's definitely Naruto, but I would never think that his kidnapper would have took him away into a different nation altogether. It's a true blessing that he has returned, said Hiruzen, smiling at the blonde. Hokage sir, how are you going to get Naruto to stay here? Asked Kakashi. He didn't really care for Naruto, but he is a Jinchuriki which should be under constant control so the village can prosper. That's what Jiraiya is here for, said the old Hokage while waving his hand towards Jiraiya. Sighing, Jiraiya kicked himself off the wall and walked over to the crystal ball. Looking down at the ball, his gaze softened, seeing the spiky-haired blonde. He truly looks like his father, he thought to himself. Ever since his favorite student died from the QB attack, Jiraiya has left the village to keep up with his spy network. He would come back and meet the old man, but he never met Naruto ever. Even though he knows what his godson has been going through his entire life, he couldn't gather the courage to meet him because he brought bad memories to Jiraiya. Not because Naruto was a Jinchuriki, but because he resembles his student too much, and that brought pain to Jiraiya. But when he had heard about Naruto's disappearance, he felt like something died in him. He failed Minato and Kushina for neglecting their son, and he paid the price. But now he has a way of redemption. Naruto has returned to the village and Jiraiya have hopes to make it up to him. However, he and Sarutobi both came up with a plan earlier that seemed cruel, but it had to be done. So how are you going to get him to stay here? Asked Kurenai, raising her hand in the air. Hiruzen sighed, not wanting to tell them, but he needs the Jounin's support so he could make sure his plan can work if plan A doesn't work. Well, I was hoping that I could meet the boy and have a discussion with him, but the ANBU I sent earlier hasn't returned, so I fear that Naruto possibly killed him. Possibly? Asked Kakashi while raising his one-seen brow. There has been no body found in the village. He hasn't checked into the ANBU barracks either. It was as if he had just simply disappeared from the earth. Well, whatever happened, we need to handle Naruto with care, said Kakashi. I agree, so Jiraiya will be the one to approach him, said Hiruzen. All I have to do is inform Naruto that I'm his godfather, and then I'm sure he won't even budge from the village since I live here. From what I've been told, he doesn't dare harm his loved ones, grinned Jiraiya, thinking that the plan couldn't fail. Every Jounin in the room had quizzical looks on their faces. They all knew the risk of that plan since it could easily backfire, and the professor wouldn't make a risky starting plan without a backup. Hokage, if I may ask, what would happen if the plan failed? Asked Guy curiously. The Hokage and Jiraiya shared a look till they both sighed. We're to use force then. Most of Jounin were shocked at such a plan while several agreed with him. Sir, that's just unyouthful. You can't be serious, asked Guy, shocked. I'm the Hokage and I'm very serious. I already lost too many people in my old life, but Naruto won't be one of them. What about his teammates? They won't take this lying down, asked Asuma towards his father. That's what you're all here for. I want you to handle his guildmates when the plan begins. I don't want you to kill them but to knock them out. A guild definitely wouldn't decide to go to war against a hidden village. Sighing in defeat, all the Jounin listened in on the plan to retrieve Naruto. They might not like the plan but they can't do anything about it since the Hokage has given them an order. Sarutobi then finished the details for the retrieval plan. Okay, Operation Naruto retrieval will begin at the end of the exams. Am I clear? His answer was a hi. Until everyone disappeared in a shunshin except for Jiraiya and Hiruzen, the old Hokage sighed and slouched on his chair. Seeing the worried look on his mentor, Jiraiya decided to try and cheer him up. Don't worry, old man, I'm sure that nothing will happen, reassured Jiraiya while patting the Hokage's shoulder. He then jumped out the window to continue his research. Hiruzen just stared out the window that the Sannin had just left through and stared at the village. I'm sorry, Naruto, but this is for your own good, thought Hiruzen. Jiraiya had informed himself about the Akatsuki threat and how they are after all the tailed beasts, including Naruto. Hiruzen did want Naruto to be where he belongs, but he also desired Naruto's safety since he believes that the safest place for Naruto was the village, not even realizing that said village was the reason why he was almost killed hundreds of times throughout his life. The old Hokage swung his chair around to see what Naruto was doing through his crystal ball but gasped when he saw Naruto in his hotel room staring at him through the crystal ball as if he could see through it, which shouldn't have been possible. Sarutobi then sees Naruto's grin and him lifting up his left hand with his index finger pointing outwards. He started to say two words while swerving his finger to left and right. The crystal didn't allow for voices to be heard, but Sarutobi was able to read his lips. His eyes widened when Naruto says, I'll show the leaf a true demon, old man. The darkness shall rise from the shadows and take the form of destruction. Remember those words. And then the blue crystal ball started to turn pitch black and crack until it broke into hundreds of pieces. Naruto, what do you mean by that? Thought Sarutobi worriedly while looking at the black shards covering his table. He doesn't know how Naruto was able to do that, but something inside himself was shouting out that he didn't want to know how he did it. Next morning, both teams from True Heart were standing in front of the entrance of the Shinobi Academy with eager grins on their faces except for Tempest, who still keep his stoic face. Flare and Kinana were both left behind, so they decided to do some shopping together since it's not every day that they could go on a shopping spree in foreign lands. Both Midnight and Ua left in order to go to the Jounin Lounge since they were told to be there. Let's go kick some ass, grinned Altair walking into the building with everyone following her lead. She was wearing her battle gear for the exams outfit during Tenru Island arc. Before the exams were to start, everyone was told that they needed to be at the room 301. They all climbed up the stairs and saw a large group of Chunin hopefuls crowding around a doorway which was blocked by two disguised Chunin. They must be joking if they think that this will fool us, whispered Angel, who followed her team past the door and walk up the steps towards the third floor, since the doorway she walked past had a genjutsu over it saying it was room 301 when it was actually 201. They were halted when an arrogant voice called out through the crowds, "Drop the genjutsu. You can't fool an elite like me," told Sasuke. Naruto, Racer, Altair and Angel chuckled at the stupid Uchiha while Cobra and Tempest shakes their heads in disappointment. If the fool didn't inform the other applicants, then there would have been less competition, but it looked like his ego was too much. They saw a green spandex wearing person challenge the Uchiha into a fight which all of True Heart members watched in curiosity. To say they were disappointed was an understatement. With both of them. To the six watching, it was more of a kiddies fight compared to what they all have been in. It didn't take them long until they arrived at the right room. Once they opened the doors of the examining room, they were hit by a killing intent from everyone in the room. Naruto and the girls tried to hold back a laugh when they felt the minuscule of killing intent. It was nowhere near the level to even try to make them sweat. Having enough of the humans glaring at them, Tempest released his own killing intent, which made everyone back down, and some to shiver in fear. Gaara, who was sitting at a table, had a large maniacal grin on his face when he felt Tempest's ki. He'll prove my resistance, mother, and then you may have his blood. Walking into the room, they stood near the wall while they talked to each other about random stuff, showing that they didn't have any worry about failing the exams. After seeing the Uchiha glomped by a blonde-haired girl, Naruto narrowed his eyes towards the glasses-wearing boy who walked towards the group. He was brought out of his thoughts when he noticed a lot of looks going to his group, which were either anger, curiosity, and mostly lust. The males were all staring at Angel and Altair while all the females were drooling over the handsome forms of Naruto, Cobra and Tempest. Growing sick and tired of them all, Naruto released his ki towards everyone, who then lost quick interest in the group and tried to make sure they didn't make eye contact with any of them. Naruto brought his attention towards the rookie's group from Leaf since he heard his name being said. What inform action do you have in Naruto? Asked Sasuke towards Kabuto, who was searching through his deck of info cards. Let me see. Here it is. Kabuto was about to read it out until the cards slowly turned black, and when it was covered completely, it started to crumble into dust. What? How did this happen? Thought Kabuto, looking around and trying to find the culprit. When he got eye contact with Naruto, he squinted his eyes towards the blonde since the large grin on his face showed that he knew what had happened. So it was him, huh? I wonder how he did that, thought Kabuto, interested before he had to dodge the sudden attack from the bandaged Oto shinobi. Didn't help that the said shinobi had a bracer that emits sound attacks. Well played at the acting, but you can't lie with my ears, smirked Cobra. Cobra was very interested at those sound weapons and wondered if they were actually any good. Just then a large poof of smoke appeared at the front of the class. When the smoke cleared, it showed the famous interrogated Ibiki himself with a group of examiners behind him. You, he said, pointing towards the Oto ninja. All right, you maggots. No more unofficial roughhousing or you will be kicked out. I apologize, sir. I didn't know the rules, bowed the bandaged shinobi. Good, but I want to make it clear that we won't settle for any stupid acts like that again. Now that I have everyone's attention, I want everyone to come up here and pick out a number. That will be your seat for the written test, told Ibiki. With his back against the wall, Naruto was seen smirking towards the group of examiners. Let the games begin. Chapter 5. The first part of the Chunin exams have begun. Everyone was assigned seating arrangements for the test part. Naruto was sitting between a black-haired kunoichi from IWA and a white-haired, dark-skinned shinobi from Kumo who was sucking on a lollipop and had a nervous look. The rest of his guildmates were spread apart from each other while he sat in the front row. You are to answer the first 9 questions on your test in the next hour, or you will be disqualified from the exams. If you are caught cheating, then you and your team will be disqualified. Any questions? Asked Ibiki. One genin raised his hand to ask a question, but a kunai was quickly lodged onto his desk by none other than Ibiki himself. Good, no questions. Now begin. Everyone turned their pages over and most of them gasped at the questions that were on the test. Clever bastard, thought Naruto while grinning on the outside. He realized what the test was actually for, and that was information gathering. From looking over his shoulder, he notices how most of everyone in the room figured out what they had to do. He saw several people doing the test without cheating. Sakura, Kuratsuchi, Yujito, Shikamaru. There were people doing clever ways to cheat. Tenten, Gaara, Kankuro. There was the people who were just using their Kekkei Genkai. Sasuke, Niji, Hinata. And then there was the stupid fools who failed at cheating and were kicked out by an examiner. Looking forward, Naruto sees how Ibiki was watching him like a hawk, which made him inwardly raise a brow. Probably that old fool's idea. Naruto lifted his right hand's index and middle finger towards his forehead, making the examiners and Ibiki wonder what he was doing. Cobra, you hear me? Thought Naruto, using his telepathy magic on everyone in his guild. Yep, and I'm guessing you're after the answers, answered Cobra. You know me so well, smiled Naruto. Ibiki looked at Naruto and to all the members of his guild and noticed the smiles on their faces as they started to write on their tests. Are they communicating? But how? Thought Ibiki, wondering how they are able to do such a thing. He sees Naruto with his fingers to his forehead and guesses that it was him, but couldn't do anything about it since they had no proof that he was cheating. After the time limit was up, everyone who didn't get caught were still in the room and waiting for the proctor. Seeing all the people in the room, he sighed, knowing that Anko is gonna berate him. Okay, now before we ask you the final question, you are given the choice to answer it or not. What do you mean by that? Asked Temari, not getting what he meant. I mean that if you fail to answer the 10th question, then you're gonna be stuck as a genin for the rest of your life, no matter which village is hosting the next exam, so this is your only chance to quit and try again at the next exams, grinned Ibiki, seeing all the frightened looks and shouting that a lot of genin were doing. However, he frowned, seeing everyone in true heart hadn't even batted an eyelash at his explanation. He thought that it was because they weren't from the elemental countries and that they wouldn't care, but it was actually because they all know that he doesn't have that much power to do that. Does he actually see us as fools, or is that with everyone in the village? Thought Altair. Pretty slow if you ask me, told Racer through the telepathic connection, making Naruto, Altair and Cobra to chuckle, which got weird glances from their neighbors. After several teams left due to fear of being made a genin for the rest of their lives, Ibiki informed everyone about how there was no 10th question, and saying how they need to make risks during missions so they could succeed. Just then a large ball came crashing through the window and 4 kunais implanted themselves at the 4 corners of the banner at the front of the classroom. The banner read, "The sexy and single Anko Mitarashi." Your early Anko, told Ibiki, moving the banner out of his face, causing her to blush in embarrassment. Looking around the room, she frowned, seeing so many applicants left. Seriously, Ibiki, 22 teams? You're losing your edge, commented Anko. Or maybe we have a good bunch of shinobi this year, commented Ibiki, who after got a grin from Anko. Don't worry. After the second exams are over, more than half of them will be gone, told Anko with confidence in her voice. Naruto chuckled at Anko's behavior, and remembered how she was just as eccentric when she was to guard him during his childhood. If he was honest, then he would tell somebody that she was one of the people who he really cared about, since she always took good care of him in the village. Okay brats, the next test will be interrogation. You and your team are gonna be given a prisoner who knows the location for the next part of the exam, and you are to get the information out of him. You may do anything as long as you don't cause permanent damage to their body. You all have 1 hour to get the information and to get to your assigned location, or you will be disqualified, she told them while showing her hand towards the examiners. Everyone got up and followed the examiners down the hallway, which had dozens of doors with a number on it. Begin, said one of the proctors. When said, all teams rushed into a room and started to interrogate whoever was in there except for Naruto's team, who calmly walked to their door. What are they doing, treating this like some joke, thought one of the proctors angrily while watching them lazily walk to the door. He was also openly glaring at Naruto, who took notice and grinned, seeing that his popularity in the village was still there. So how do you want to do this? Asked Angel, looking at her teammates. She had never done something like interrogation before, so she had no clue on what to do. Altair didn't have an answer either, but was given one from Naruto. I just need 30 seconds, he said, and then walked into the room while Angel and Altair stayed outside. Closing the door behind himself, Naruto looked around the room and saw that the room was small and only had one window which was barred. He then saw an orange head leaf shinobi tied to a chair who by the glare he knows who he is. Walking up to the Chunin, he brought his face a couple of inches towards the leaf ninja and was gonna ask him the question until the man spat on his face. Wiping off the spit that was dripping down his face, he looked at the grinning face of the leaf shinobi with a calm stoic face. You're not gonna get shit out of me, demon, so you best just give up now, mocked the tied shinobi. Naruto breathed in deeply and breathed out a couple of times. He was so calm right now he could give Itachi Uchiha a run of his money since the Chunin kept throwing insults at him, but Naruto didn't even flinch. Naruto continued to look at the Chunin until he said, I'm gonna enjoy watching you break, muttered Naruto with his voice turning demonic all of a sudden. Naruto's form started to change when a darkened shadow stretched from the ground up to Naruto, which started to cover himself until his entire body was turned black, clothes as well. The Chunin looked at the black mass in front of him, and was wondering what was going on. He jumped on his seat when one large eye opened up on the face of the black mass. The red slitted eyes were darting around the room as if it were looking for something until it stopped when it saw the leaf shinobi who was starting to sweat from the creepy-looking thing in front of him. What kind of genjutsu is this? He thought and widened his eyes when dozens of mouths appeared and opened up in all parts of the body. The mouths were all wide open and the shark-like teeth were all gnashing together as if they were chewing on something. The monstrous form started to ripple and something big shot out of the body, which was enough for the scared ninja to shout like a girl. Was what the examiners and other genin heard from the room that Naruto was in. What the hell was that? Shouted Ibiki, running towards the screaming. He was stopped from entering the room by Angel and Altair holding out their hands. I'm sorry, but he still has 5 seconds left, smiled Angel, clearly not affected by the screams coming from the room behind her. 5 seconds later Naruto walked out of the room with a smile on his whiskered face. Forest of Death was what he said and turned to go to the forest. Angel and Altair were quick to follow, and didn't even look into the room that they were assigned. Seeing that the team left, Ibiki and 2 other examiners ran into the room and gasped, seeing the prisoner untied and at the corner of the room in a spooning position, both hands to his face while he kept muttering demon over and over again. He was covered from head to toe in sweat, and his eyes looked as if they were gonna bulge out of their sockets. What happened? Asked the proctor, who didn't get a reply since it seemed the man didn't hear him or just couldn't hear him. My Kami. What did the boy do to make him like this, thought Ibiki. Through all his years as an interrogator he has made a lot of people tell him anything he wanted and sometimes broke a couple of good shinobi during his career, and from his experience he can safely say that the mess of a man in front of him was broken. Get me a Noichi now. This man needs attention immediately, ordered Ibiki, seeing another leaf shinobi nod her head and disappear in a shunshin. Ibiki brought his attention back to the sobbing man and started to think about how much the village messed up. Looks like our mistake came to bite us in the ass. Tempest, Racer and Cobra, what was that? Asked the startled Racer. He has never heard a man scream like that before, and he made a lot of people scream, but what was happening in the other room made his victims sound like mice. Hearing the chaos being made next door, Cobra smirked, knowing who was making a grown man scream like a girl. Master really does have a flair for the dramatics, muttered Tempest while looking at the kunoichi tied up. The kunoichi in question glared at the group of men in front of her, and promised herself that she wouldn't give out no matter how good 2 of the men looked in her eyes. She has long smooth black hair that reached down to her lower back with 2 strands of hair hanging in front of her forehead. She has a heart-shaped face and was wearing a chunin's regular attire which showed her hourglass figure. Hearing her thoughts, Cobra smirked, liking her confidence, but chose to ignore the last part. Getting close to her he squatted down, not caring that he was mere inches from her face. The kunoichi in question blushed at how Cobra was in her personal face while not noticing that he was actually reading her mind by using his great hearing. After finding out the information she had, Cobra stood up and walked towards the door while not seeing that the tied kunoichi had closed her eyes and puckered her lips. Both of his teammates noticed what she was doing, which made Racer chuckle and Tempest to raise a brow. What is she doing? Asked Tempest. She seems to think that Cobra was gonna give her a smooch. Where that came from I'll never know, shrugged Racer. Smooch? Looking at the dark-skinned man weirdly, he then shaped his mouth into an O when Racer remembered that Tempest is a demon, so he wouldn't know of such a thing, so he decides to explain it to him. It's when someone places their lips on somebody else's lips. At the time the kunoichi frowned when she saw that Cobra had left the room while she had her eyes closed. She sees the other 2 still in the room and blushed in embarrassment. Oh no! They're gonna think I'm like a whore, shouted the kunoichi inwardly. Hearing the explanation from Racer, Tempest decides to try this smooch thing out and looks down at the kunoichi. Slowly walking towards the girl, he bent down so he could get to her eye level, while she looked at him weirdly. What are you doing? She couldn't finish her thoughts because Tempest had grabbed both of her cheeks and slammed his lips to hers, much to Racer's shock and the kunoichi's pleasure. When Tempest pulled back he licked his lips while touching them. Not bad, he muttered and turned towards the door and exited the room while keeping his stoic face on at all times. Racer just stood there gaping at what had just happened. Everyone is gonna freak, thought Racer, shaking off most of his shock and thinking about how he can't wait to tell everyone. He then left the blushing and dazed Kunoichi alone in the room so he could follow his teammates. Forest of Death. 1 hour later, everybody who was able to get the information out of the prisoners were now standing in front of the Forest of Death and waiting for the next stage of the exams. Congratulations on making it this far, but don't celebrate yet. Each team will be given either a heaven or earth scroll to guard. Your objective is to find another team and take their scroll off them and continue until you have both scrolls. Afterwards you are to get to the tower in the middle of the forest. Everyone is given 5 days to complete the task, and if you don't have both scrolls or don't get to the tower in time, then you and your team are disqualified, told Anko. Wait, what about food? Asked Choji. Racer chuckled at the long-haired Akimichi and commented on how he doesn't need food because he could live off his fat stomach. Choji glared at Racer with great hate, while Racer just brushed it off. Shikamaru and Ino both backed off from their teammate since they both know that nobody calls Choji fat without getting inflicted by a large amount of pain. Anko told everybody that they would eat whatever they find in the forest. She then gave everyone a sheet which they all signed, so if they were to die then their villages couldn't sue the leaf. When everyone signed their sheet and gave it to the examiners, they were given a scroll for each team. What scroll did we get? Asked Altair, looking over Naruto's shoulder while intentionally burying his left arm into her cleavage. Seeing what Altair was doing, Angel decided not to be beaten, so she wrapped her arms around his other arm and buried it into her own breasts. How about you back off from my Naruto, or am I gonna have to make you threaten Angel? Glaring at the white-haired beauty, Altair tried to pull Naruto away from her. Keep dreaming, bitch, cause his with me, told Altair, who felt Angel tugging on Naruto as well, while said blonde was groaning in pain from both girls pulling on him like a rag doll. Girls, please stop, muttered Naruto. Seeing that they were hurting the blonde, they both let go at the same time. Rubbing his arms so he can ease the pain, he sighed at the girls who were both glaring and shooting insults at each other left and right. Sighing, he leaned forward and kissed both girls on their cheeks in hopes that they would calm down, and thankfully they did, but had turned red from the sudden kiss. A lot of the males were looking at the blonde in jealousy because he has the attention of two beauties, especially Kiba, who growled, wishing that he could be having that much adoration from hot girls. They were all knocked out of their thoughts when Anko announced the beginning of the exam. Naruto and his group straightened out and left to find another scroll and proceed to the other part of the exam, but Angel and Altair still had thoughts about Naruto kissing them on the cheek. They know a kiss on the cheek ain't that special, but from Naruto was definitely a surprise. Naruto's group. 15 minutes later, the group of 3 ran through the forest for the last 15 minutes, so they could get a good bit away from the fenced area. Angel and Altair were having no problem with the running because Naruto had put both girls and the entire guild into a training regiment that would have made Guy have nightmares. Seeing that they were a good bit away, Naruto told the girls to stop where they were. Why are we stopping? Asked Angel. I sense a team coming behind us, so get ready, told Naruto, seeing a trio of AIM shinobi jump down on the clearing. Naruto saw the strange breathing masks that they all had on, and wondered why would they have those on. Maybe it's for underwater? Hand over your scroll and we might consider not to kill you all, told the leader, until he saw both Angel and Altair, which made him grin lecherously. Actually, change of plans. We will kill the boy. Take your scroll and have some fun with you two, babe, said the leader, while his two friends nodded their heads in agreement and took out a kunai each. Fools, thought Naruto while shaking his head sideways. It was bad enough threatening them, but to make such a perverted comment made Naruto's blood boil. He would have killed them already, but the magic power being released by Angel and Altair seemed to make him reconsider the thought, and just watch. Naruto knows that nobody should mess with a woman on a mission, especially if that mission is to destroy perverts. Naruto still shudders when he remembers what happened to Zoldio when he accidentally brushed his hand on Sila's rear end. Took him weeks to recover from that one-sided beating. Naruto didn't even punish her for that, since he was even afraid if she brought her female fury on himself. Look at this, the girls want to play, chuckled one of the ninjas. Rest in peace, prayed Naruto towards the 3 stupid shinobi in front of him. Ice Maiku, Ransu, Ice Make, Lance, shouted Altair while shooting out a dozen ice lances towards the surprised shinobi, who jumped into the trees in time to see the lances pierce the tree trunks. Hayatan, ice release? Damn, this might be tougher than I thought, muttered the leader, starting to making hand signs. He stopped his hand signs when several light beams shot towards him from the sky. 2 of the AIM shinobi were lucky enough to dodge the high-speed beams, but the third member wasn't so lucky since he was pierced into the chest 3 times. When the AIM shinobi saw their friend die, they grew angry at the women. Both noticed the white feathers stuck to the ground from one of the shots that appeared. Looking up, they were shocked when they saw the white-haired beauty flying in the sky by using angel wings that appeared out of nowhere. Runs angel wings from Akame J kill, but fully white with a holy glow coming off it. W what? Akekai Genkai? Thought the leader, shocked. Altair ran towards the gaping shinobi and went for an axe kick to the leader, who back flipped away and started to hurl kunai and shuriken at herself. Ice Maiku, Shirudo, Ice Make, Shield. She formed a large ice shield that stopped all projectiles coming towards her. She cancelled the spell when the barrage of weapons stopped, and placed her right fist into her left hand. Ice Maiku, Rasen Kuron, Ice Make, Rosencrone. Altair formed large roses made out of ice that shot out, surrounded the aim ninja and tied around him while impaling him with its sharp thorns. As she finished off her opponent, Angel was taking care of hers. Suetun, Suede no jutsu, water release, water bullets, shouted the remaining member who shot several high compressed water balls towards Angel who had skillfully dodged them, all while flying midair. You gotta try better than that if you want to take down an Angel, told Angel, shooting 3 high-speed feathers while they were covered in her magic power, making them even more deadly. Lifting her left mane over her head, 2 small balls of glowing magic appeared overhead and started to spin around until they were going so fast that they were forming a large halo. Tenshi Yubiwa, Angel Ring, declared Angel, who suddenly threw the spinning ring. Seeing the attack coming, the aim ninja tried to run away from his feet, wouldn't respond to him. Looking down, he gasped at fear seeing that his feet were stuck from the ice Altair formed while he was distracted. Crap! He shouted until he was consumed by the light. When the attack died down, there was a 50-meter trench going along the clearing and into the forestry. Sensing no more enemies nearby, Naruto walked over to the girls who were beside the dead bodies of the only intact aim shinobi since the other one was long gone. Well done, girls. That's some fine teamwork, and I'm glad that you were able to work together, praised Naruto, hugging both girls, causing them to blush from the sudden contact. Oh, of course, Naruto. Gee, glad to help, stuttered Angel. Why, yeah, they weren't a pea problem, said Altair, controlling her blush a lot better than Angel. Smiling at the girls, Naruto went through the dead shinobi pockets, and hopes that the one Angel fought didn't hold the scroll. To his luck, it was the Earth Scroll that his team needed. Showing the girls his scroll, they all decided to run towards the tower so they could rest. Angel was the one who wanted it most since she can't handle all the dirt on her white dress. How do you think the others are doing? Asked Altair. She wasn't worried all that much since all 3 wizards were S-class, but they never know if something were to happen all of a sudden. I'm sure they're grand, so there's no need to worry, grinned Naruto. Altair smiled and was secretly thanking him for the encouragement as they ran towards the tower. Jounin lounge. I kinda miss the brats, commented Kakashi to the other Jounin. Guy started to scream about how youthful it was for Kakashi to miss his team. Asuma just lit another cigarette while Kurenai started to think about the mission she has to do. She doesn't like the fact that she is forcing someone to do something that he doesn't like, but a mission is a mission. She was knocked out of her thoughts when she sees Kakashi eyeing the doorway. Following his gaze, she saw 2 strangely dressed individuals who walked in and sat at one of the booths. It's him. That's the guy who killed Zabuza in my previous mission. Wait, that's the guy who killed Zabuza and the ice user? Asked Asuma, shocked while pointing towards Midnight, not knowing that he was pissing said wizard off. Looks like you're popular over here, grinned Altair. Midnight wasn't liking where this was going. Just ignore them and they should leave us alone, sighed Midnight, but luck wasn't on his side because Guy ran over towards their booth with his group following behind. Hello, my youthful friends. My name is Guy, Konoha's green beast. What are your youthful names? Asked Guy, grinning. Midnight and UR didn't like being asked for their names since they didn't want them to know. Hello, Midnight. How have you been since Wave? Asked Kakashi, smiling and waving, but Midnight just ignored him, much to Kakashi's disdain. Do you mind leaving us so we could talk in private? You are hoping to get the message across but sighed when they didn't. Don't be like that now. Since all our youthful students are in the exams, we all should get to know each other, told Guy. Midnight lost his patience with the man and started to leak out his magic power, scaring the Jounin and others from the sudden hostility. We are trying to talk, so go away, said Midnight, glaring at the Jounin who backed away, not wanting a fight to go down, while Kakashi was fuming inwardly that Midnight has such power. Seeing that they were left alone, Midnight and UR started to talk about the exam and how the teams are doing. Cobra's team. Cobra and his team were doing fine for the most part, and were just running around looking for a team to fight, and they just so happened to meet a team coming from Kumo. There were 2 males. One has black hair and white skin, while the other had short curly blonde hair and dark skin. They were both wearing the Kumo white and black uniform, and the blonde one had a white band wrapped around his head. The female was who caught Cobra's interest. She has long, smooth blonde hair bound with taut bandages and dark eyes. She is wearing a short-sleeved black and purple blouse with a pair of black pants, both which had similar designs of clouds on them, purple fingerless gloves and a chain of blue beads around her left hand. Her Kumo headband was strapped around her head. The reason Cobra took interest in her is because of the insane amounts of chakra that he could sense in her, and also the fact that he could hear 2 voices in her head, and not just one. So you're a Jinchuriki, said Cobra as more of a statement. The Kumo team gasped when they heard him. How do you know what Yujito is? Demanded the blonde-haired shinobi, who took out his tanto, look intimidating but failed miserably since the 3 people in front of him weren't their normal opponents. That is none of your concern, boy. Then if you know what I am, then you know what I'm capable of, so it would be best for you 3 to just hand us your scroll and be on your way, said Yujito with a cocky grin. Her answer wasn't what she or her teammates were expecting. It was Cobra, Racer and Tempest laughing and chuckling at her. What the hell are you laughing at? Shouted the dark-haired boy. Wiping a fake tear out of his eye, Racer said, we just find it funny that you think that you're actually threatening us just cause you're a Jinchuriki. Yujito was beyond pissed when the 3 strange males were laughing at her, even though she had full control over her tailed beast, so she did what any other mad kunoichi would do when insulted: attack, Katon, Karyudan, fire release, Fire dragon bullet, she said, shooting out 6 flaming dragon heads to the still chuckling men. When they could feel the heat from the attack, all 3 of them jumped away from the attack. All 3 Kumo ninjas jumped towards their opponents in hopes to end it quick. Cobra smirked and released his Dragon Slayer abilities, which covered his hands and arms into purple scales. He then ran to Yujito, who ran to him as well while holding a tanto. Going for a decapitation, Yujito swung her sword, in which Cobra ducked under. Spinning on her heels, Yujito went for a spinning kick, but Cobra grabbed her leg and slammed his clawed hand into her side, while using his mastery over sound magic to increase the pressure of his attack, thus inflicting more damage to her. She screamed and was shot through 2 threes until she stopped at the 3rd. Standing up, she called upon the Two-Tails power, which made a single blue fiery tail to grow out of her lower back. Shooting at Cobra in surprising speeds, Cobra didn't have time to dodge, so he blocked her straight kick with his arms. Yujito started to make hand signs in amazing speeds and shot out large wall of blue fire that shot out towards Cobra. Katan, Suisei, fire release, jet stream. Seeing the fire coming, Cobra brought out his claw towards the fire, and used the sound magic to repel the attack back. Seeing what Cobra did, Yujito gasped in shock and a bit of fear when her fire was shot back towards herself. Quickly jumping over the fire, she didn't expect Cobra to be there in the air as well. Cobra then called out Dokurian no Yudokyuken, Poison Dragon's Toxic Fist, and threw a poison-covered fist to Yujito, who shot down towards the floor, making a crater from the impact. Recovering fast and standing up, she saw Cobra placing his mouth between 2 fingers in his left hand. Dokurian no Hoko, Poison Dragon's Roar, he declared, shooting out a large stream of poison towards herself. She screamed in pain and agony when she was shot back into a tree. The poison invading her body and her head hitting off the hardwood of the tree was too much for her to handle, and quickly fell unconscious. Seeing that his opponent was unconscious, Cobra checked her pockets for a scroll, and to his luck he found the one that his team needed. At the same time, when he collected his scroll, Racer and Tempest appeared. "I'm guessing you got it," stated Tempest. Cobra nodded his head in agreement, and ran towards the tower with his teammates behind him, not noticing a masked man with the word root on his mask was watching and disappeared to tell his master about what he saw. When Cobra and his team arrived, they saw Naruto's group waiting for them. After exchanging pleasantries, they all read the riddle at the entrance of the tower, and figured out what they had to do. After dropping their glowing scrolls, 2 poofs of smoke showed Midnight, and you are smiling at them. "Good to see you have arrived, Master," smiled Midnight, giving a slight bow, which Naruto returned. "Congrats guys, you just beaten Leaf's record for the exams," said You are, pumping her fist and loving the fact that the village was being embarrassed already. "It's to be expected," commented Tempest in his usual stoic voice. You are and Midnight told them how they are supposed to stay in the tower for 5 days until the next part of the exams start. They told them about how the tower has many services, such as the training ground which Cobra and Racer went to spar, the spa where Angel and Altair went to relax, and the cafeteria where Tempest and Naruto went to grab something to eat. It didn't take long for Naruto and his guildmates to find everything boring after a while, and had thought how the next 5 days were gonna be long. What if Naruto saved Fairytail from Zeref? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.